This is an emergency. I'm starting my stream early. I don't know if everything's properly set up. Bitcoin is $59,300, up 0.86% today. And, of course, we're all here for a reason. Trump and Elon Musk are starting. I think he's live right now. Oh my gosh, am I late? I'm probably late. They said it would start at 8. My computer froze or something? Nope, no, it did not freeze. Spaces is glitching. Alright, let me refresh. Okay, now my page is permanently gray. Why? Come on. Okay, hold on. Yes, I do have some news to share as well, but that's completely irrelevant. Let's see. Yeah, Trump and Elon Musk will start their debate tonight. So really excited for that. Can't wait to see what they talk about. Of course, we cannot get our hopes too high as crypto bros. We don't know if they will even mention anything Bitcoin related. So, but still, there's a chance, right? Not to let your guard down. And whatever is spoken can definitely impact the price of Bitcoin. So, as I confirmed, it's 59,300 where we're starting. Matter of fact, I'm going to reduce my time frame to something like 15 minutes so we could keep good track of the price. As you can see, we've been kind of in this range between 60,000 and 59,000, 58,000, some dips like that for the day of today. Not too crazy either. Spaces, details not available. Is it going to be through here? Of course, this is glitching now. Why? This just permanently glitches my Twitter, it seems like. Maybe it's just not set, or maybe it's just not starting yet. That's the thing. Oh my god, what happened to everything? No, that's not what I'm looking for. Maybe my Wi-Fi is bad. Okay, they just deleted the space. No, it's right here. Spaces. Yeah. Okay, well, we're still waiting. Bottom line is, of course, ever since Trump got unbanned on Twitter by Elon Musk when he acquired Twitter, well, obviously after the rebrand to X, Trump has not posted anything other than, I think it was his mugshot, this, Never Surrender, and just promoting his Truth Social app, right? Last post before this was January 2021, which was when he got banned because of January 6th event. Unfortunate, but, you know, he came back today, and, of course, he's also putting out ads on Twitter saying, you know, you're better off now than you were when I was president. He put a lot of campaign videos regarding Kamala Harris and everything like that. And I think they mentioned the spaces. It looks like it's going to be through spaces. And it's going to start at 8. So we're waiting for that. I should not click on this link. It will just gray out my whole Twitter by the looks of it. Nor click on this. But here's the most recent video he put out.
You'll have bad moments. You gotta love what you're doing.
Okay, well, I don't think we're gonna watch all of this for now because it's starting soon. I have a lot to talk about as well. Why don't we just quickly go through the news? I'll ignore the prices of this. I'll have the video playing in the background, the stream in the background, while I also review some cryptocurrencies. We got a lot of up movement today, so that's interesting. Of course, in anticipation for this. Yeah, details still not available for this, so I'll keep refreshing and coming back to this. Hopefully we don't miss a second of this, because I'm very interested. News number 1. Yeah, Europe does not like the fact that this is happening. They sent a letter to Elon Musk about his Donald Trump interview, saying that, hey, you know what? You're going to violate a law, a random law that we just invented, if you stream this to people in Europe. What are they trying to censor? Why are they trying to intervene with this? Like, stay out of it, right? Europe is being weird. There you go. That's my stance. Another thing that Europe is doing is that the United States, France, United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, they issued a joint statement. Originally, it was just 3 countries, but now Italy and USA joined in on this as well, asking for a ceasefire in Gaza and Iran to not attack, of course, because the war is still looming between Iran and Israel. Possibility of them retaliating. So we're all keeping our eyes on that. And as per Axios, I mean, remember yesterday when they said, oh my god, they're going to attack tonight? Yeah, they're not attacking, even though they said they expect instead Iran to attack Israel before Thursday. But I feel like we shouldn't even trust this anymore. They're saying 24 hours now, Thursday. It changes every day now, yeah. Like, this is not something that we can trust anymore at this point. So we ignore it from now on. How about that? I probably shouldn't even cover that kind of stuff. Here's another part of the news is that Russia is evacuating 180,000 people as Ukraine takes control of 28 towns and villages in Russia's Kursk border region. So, of course, Ukraine is starting to push Russia, and of course, Putin is not very happy about that. He's saying that it's the West fighting him using the hands of Ukrainians, which I kind of understand. US and NATO been supplying Ukraine with a bunch of weaponry, and what's the point of this all? Why war? I think they're just trying to mess up everything as much as they can before Trump takes office, because Trump is definitely going to win, right, guys? I mean, odds are definitely pointing towards him winning. It's 7:58, so we got about 2 minutes, supposedly, if these guys are going to start on time. What are the people saying here in the comments? Not working. Yep. Yeah, well, they broke the internet. There's also people saying that they want to do like a blackout, I think they say. But it's a different kind of blackout. It's not even trending anymore. All right, whatever. It was either that or they were going to just log out of Twitter to kind of draw... These are people that are anti-Trump, pro-Kamala kind of people, saying, oh, we're going to log out of Twitter. Everybody, we're going to agree to log out of Twitter so that the numbers don't include us as them saying, look how many active Twitter users there were when Trump was talking. Because obviously they want Trump to look as bad as possible. But yeah, apparently it's not currently working, but it's getting there soon. It's getting there soon. And yeah, of course, today a lot of Trump posting this kind of stuff. Let me show you about his... He has a stock, by the way, the DJT, Donald Trump Media Technologies. This has dropped a lot today. Well, actually, it came back up a little bit. Get out of here. It actually came back up a little. So that's interesting. But yeah, because Trump's been talking on Twitter now, this share from Donald Trump Media and Technology Group is possibly at risk, right? Because now, I don't know, Trump will probably not be using that. He's probably going to full-time come back to Twitter. Anyways, back to Twitter, back to the news. Russia says he will only accept unconditional surrender from Zelensky. Because he does not like the fact that they are being invaded, well, retaliated. I don't even know who's to blame in this situation. I don't really understand the Russia-Ukraine conflict. I feel like that should not have been a thing in the first place. But they're just claiming that Ukrainians are Nazis and killing them, so I don't know. They look the same to me, in my opinion. Earthquake news. A lot of earthquakes been happening. Maybe these are signs from God, possibly. We had one in Los Angeles. It wasn't too big, I don't think. I saw a little bit of footage from it. Some people... They just had a little bit of a shake. They were a little surprised, and then a smaller shake, and then they're like, okay, it's over. It wasn't too large, but what was larger was a 5.0 magnitude earthquake as well in the Middle East. So it affected Syria, Lebanon, a little bit of Israel, I think, and Turkey, right? Turkey, Lebanon, Syria. Maybe that is also a sign. I don't know, because there is conflict around that area. Anyways. Apart from that, there is also GPS outages, massive GPS outages in Israel, Cyprus, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon. What is going on? Maybe this is Iran preparing for an attack? I don't know. Anyways, also some good news. Trump is suing the Department of Justice for $100 million over the Mar-a-Lago raid, alleging political persecution. You guys remember when the FBI raided Trump's house? Yeah, he's going to sue them for that. So there's that. UK is going to hell because 11-year-old girl, 34-year-old woman, they've been stabbed in London's Leicester Square, police say. Apparently it was just some white dude that stabbed him, so it's not the typical Islamic extremist, so don't worry about that for now. But still, that's still kind of an issue going around with the far right and the Islamists in the UK. Problems, not our problems, their problems. They'll deal with it. And of course, I did want to end off with some good news. Okay, what is actually happening? It's 8:02. Yeah, this actually broke the internet. It's not working. All right. Should I refresh? What's going to happen? Okay, so his Spaces is not on. And it's disappeared from here as well. Okay, what is Elon? Elon. Maybe he's posting it somewhere, or maybe he's hosting it. This is frozen as well. He's just reposted Trump's 15 minutes ago, but that no longer exists. Yeah, he confirmed it's 8 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. It's 8:02, and we're stuck. I'll leave this in gray for now, because I'll talk about some good news before they start talking. The miners, Bitcoin miners, remember when they were selling a lot, and also causing the price to go down of Bitcoin? When Germany was also selling, big FUD, big scare. Yeah, that's apparently not going to happen as much anymore, because miner reserves are actually at an all-time low. Well, not an all-time low. They're at the same lows as January 2021 levels. So it seems like miners have kind of slowed down, or at least stopped for now. They're selling. There's still obviously a lot more that they have, but it's not too much, right? From here, of course, we see prices go up. They should definitely stop selling if they're smart. Lockheed Martin, with all the news of this war stuff going on, is at all-time high. That is crazy stuff. And of course, we have important data this week as well that we may hear from the Fed. PPI inflation, CPI inflation, jobless claims, retail sales, New York Manufacturing Index, and a lot of other irrelevant stuff. But that's going to have an impact on the economy, impact on some prices, short-term volatility. Don't be scared by it. And okay, what is actually happening? Please. Am I late? Should I just join one of these other people? Alex Jones is live. I'll watch Alex Jones. I don't know if this is allowed on YouTube. Play. Come on. Alright, I guess I'll have to wait and see if that will even work. Here I could just search Elon. What did he post here? Conversation real Donald Trump starts in a few minutes. He said that 7 minutes ago. Space is not available. I think it broke the internet for real. Come on, not even Alex Jones's thing is working. Is this actually breaking the internet?
10. They're running like 12 because they have to be here hours before. This crew has already worked 12, 14 hours.
Well, Alex Jones is here.
Some of the morning crew was
at least.
6 a.m. We want to salute Matt and the rest of the crew in there.
Oh, thanks. He saluted me.
But we're trying to honor Trump. And you made a great point right before I came in, before we aired those new Trump ads. People are so into this news cycle, and you see so many Netflix shows and horror movies and Avengers and all this stuff. That's entertainment. This is real. They tried to kill him a month ago.
Right.
And now they're admitting they're planning a civil war if he wins. This is a big deal. 30 days or a month tomorrow. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's huge. And again, it's sort of our fault, but anytime I see a post that's like, remember what happened, guys, and it's a picture of him with his hand up and the blood on his face, I have to retweet it, because it's like you have to keep this in people's minds, that they witnessed a miracle, and that what we're experiencing here is very special and can't just be taken for granted and forgotten about as much as they would like us to forget about what happened.
And by the way, I remember in 2016, Hillary had a town hall, and it was shot the equivalent of 80 millimeter film. You could see dust floating in the air, and you could tell it was fake. And I said, that's fake. And 2 months later, they admitted the thing was shot on a soundstage and was fake.
See Donald J. Trump's space here, but it's still not working. This is actually breaking the internet. That's how big this is. Yeah, details not available. So I'm stuck to listening to Alex Jones. Maybe his internet is better.
And these idiot leftists put up images of full cartridges. And they usually put up 5.56. They'll put up like 308 or 338 Lapua or something, or 30-06, and say, oh, this whole thing hit his ear. No,
that's sped up video.
I can tell you how many times I've shot at a wild hog 600 yards away, or many things I've shot, whitetail, you name it. I've done a lot of hunting back when I had time. Mule deer, mountain goats, you name it. And you'll shoot and think you missed it, and you get another one in the chamber and fire and hit it right in the chest. It falls over dead. When you get there, you just see a graze right through an ear, a little bit of blood, a tiny little scrape, or right above the top of the back. And the
internet is broken.
You're shooting 700 yards away.
He's talking about the assassination attempt and giving people, telling them that they're wrong, or saying that it was just a bullet shrapnel that hit Trump. It wasn't an actual bullet. No, but it actually was, because even Alex Jones, being a hunter, knows how this kind of stuff works with the guns.
and just skimmed his ear. And so we haven't had time yet, but I want to go out the next few weeks with you guys, some of these outdoor shooting ranges, and put up maybe watermelons, you name it, and we'll just set the scopes up and shoot and graze it and show people what we're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to connect to this.
Yeah, that's one of the part of the miraculous thing of the assassination attempt is the way it happened. It could not have been faked. I mean, there's a photo of the bullet flying through the air.
Not even an AI robot could follow his head perfectly.
Nothing.
With the wind and things and only skim him.
No,
and a guy died. I mean, this was real. I mean, you can't fake this.
Yeah, a guy died.
No fake when you see it. This was real.
100%.
Well, I think the important thing now is it's not just for us in the news cycle to keep it relevant. Now, these committees inside of the House that are chaired by Republicans, they need to be calling follow-up hearings immediately because we have the questions that need to be answered. There's really two questions at this point that need to be answered, and that's who stood down on the roof? Who stood down Secret Service on the roof? That needs to be answered.
Pal.
And then the second question that needs to be
cannot join the space since you're already in a space. No, I'm not. Well. Okay, now I'm not. How about now? Was that the reason why I couldn't join? Okay, you can't join the space. I'm not in another space. Why are you lying? Okay, hold on. Real Donald Trump. It worked when I clicked on this first, and then it shows the spaces on the side, and then I click this. What is this photo? My God, Ray. Ray, come on, pal. Okay, now we got the gray screen again. Hold on. It was working for a second there, I swear. Maybe it's just taking its time. It probably takes so long. I'm one of the few people that's not going to be able to enter this. Okay, here it is. If I click on this. Yeah, a lot of people is having connection issues. Alright, well. Oh, start listening, yeah. Come on. Can I join the space? What are you talking about? Oh my gosh. What are these? Report? No, don't report this. Post this, send VDM, copy link, share. 180k other listeners. You cannot join the space since you're already in a space. I'm not in a space. Can I see spaces somewhere else here? Users reporting Elon Musk X space with Trump is broken, unable to join space. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not alone. Looks like the entire spaces server is down. Yep. Okay, hold on. I'm just going to keep trying until I'm hopefully one of the lucky ones that joins it. It's telling me I'm already in a space. I'm not. I am not. You are lying. Copying this link for no reason. What if I just do this? Would it work here? 80k other listeners. There's 180k people, and that's concerning to me. Is there actually anybody else that is... what do I do now? Let me check YouTube, actually. Oh, even here we have Marciano Finanzas. Oh my god, why am I getting ads?
Me ganó Elon Musk ya. 800 personas. Elon Musk está haciendo un muy buen trabajo con Twitter. Hay que decirlo. Y dejen su like. No sé.
Yeah, so I'm not the only one. I'm not in a space. What is these people talking about? And how is Alex Jones doing this? Hang on, let me refresh. It has begun. Okay, but it hasn't. There's like actually nothing going on. Elon. Okay, here's the spaces thing. This is not a space, right? This is just a live stream on Twitter. It's different. Okay, so I'm just stuck with these two for now. Please work. I regret closing it. The other one. Hey, but I managed to get through the news at least, so that was good. I'm not in the space. This thing is lying to me. Alright. Anyways, shall we study price action a little bit? Look, we also entered some trades. Why don't I talk about that while we wait? Okay, and I blame myself for losing this one here. We gained 100, we lost 100. We're at a loss still. These were the only two trades we entered yesterday. Toncoin and Solana. Why don't we review that? Ton first. Okay. Just checking this. Checking. Okay, come on. Jeez, like this is actually breaking the internet. I'm gonna try entering here again.
On the front end X technology to make sure this thing got off the ground.
Still not.
Here we are, not shocked at all that it's not.
And that's what's frustrating is we had to come from the trenches. Myself, 30 years, you a decade, you guys.
All right, I'm just gonna drop the volume there a bit, just to talk about these trades while we're waiting. I hope that Alex Jones's voice not overpowering mine. But here we have what we entered in yesterday. Where did my thing go? Here. So here's what happened, okay? We were this close to a take profit. I didn't want a repeat of what happened with Litecoin and Ripple, where we were this close as well, and then we immediately went to our stop loss. So what I did was I put a stop loss, this white line, at this time. It was 22:20, 10:20 p.m. A stop loss of $100 in positive, right? Which it hit that. It immediately went up, went to negative territory for a bit. So of course it crosses this white line. That means that's a $100 take profit for us instead of the 200. But then of course, price continued to drop here, and it would have eventually reached the 200 if I have left this alone. So regardless, no matter what I do, it seems like I just lose in these situations. But yeah, still what is a take profit? And then we had a big increase in price, so good thing I got saved from that. But whatever, I could have made $100 more if I just left that alone, unfortunately. So still gotta wait. Anyways, back to this. Still waiting for Trump.
Look, Elon, he's the first to admit it. He is the guy that takes on too much.
Okay,
So, you know,
we'll just let Alex Jones there yap until we get confirmation that it's actually working. If he gets it working, that means it should be working for us too. That's mainly what I'm using it for. I'm not gonna listen to Alex Jones commentate over it, because I want to hear the organic, full conversation.
Because I was one of the first people to join it, so I was able to get in. But it seems like they're having server capacity issues because so many people are trying to join the space at the same
Oh, they're
time.
actually already in.
Twins and others are in the replies
Okay.
on both Elon Musk's account and Donald Trump's account, saying that they're having a hard time getting in.
I was about to say, I'm not an engineer, but I've noticed the last 20 minutes.
You know what? Let me try on a different browser, actually, and on a different account, because I feel like I've messed up on that one.
From conversations that
I'm going to find
he and Mario, of course, are very intimately involved
Trump.
with the team at X.
I'm looking at this in a different browser, so
His team was only like half a dozen
don't get scared.
people total as far as engineers are concerned. So we're talking about bootstrap, the lean team dealing with this massive capacity. But I'll tell you what, if this was a Kamala
Come on now,
I don't think
President
we'd be
Trump.
in
There'll be 3,000
Right,
people
well
on it.
Okay, here, Trump's space. I'm gonna click on it once,
Perfect. Say that again.
While Donald Trump
and I'm not gonna touch it until we get confirmation that yes, we indeed
Tomorrow, and hopefully
are
Elon's
inside.
engineers yelling at people.
For now, no.
Servers. You know,
For now, I'm still waiting.
though, that
Okay,
they're gonna
so this is something I do have to write down
event
in my
be bigger, 'cause then I predict Musk flies
Excel
over
spreadsheet.
or
So let's do that. What is this even called again?
it's put out proper on X streaming video that does great.
Okay, it was ton.
Before our
Closed 811. Price we opened 620. 1. Price closed 617. Okay. Made $105.13. Paid a lot in commission, actually $7. And we hit the stop loss. The other one was Solana, which I'll just write down and then we'll review it later. Why don't we do that?
as users
This one was a losing trade. I don't think there's much to explain, honestly.
100,000
It just didn't go my way. It went up instead of going down.
This is instead of just putting a camera at the
We lost 118 and 19 cents. paying $6 in fees, and we had the stop loss. This one was a stop loss triggered in positive, so that's why it's like this. The other one was just a direct stop loss in its traditional sense. We just lost at that point. So our total equity is still pretty neutral, right? 11,000, almost 900. We're still down about $400, so we need about 2 trades to get us back up to good positioning. Phantom Pepe potentially will be leaving my little portfolio that I've got. But yeah, that's all. Okay, I'm going back here.
Has anybody been able to talk yet?
Yeah, let's go back to Chase. Chase, what do you got?
I just hear elevator music in the space right now. We're in, and so what we're gonna do is encourage everybody on Twitter who can't get into the space directly to just watch our live stream because we will be broadcasting as soon as they start speaking. But obviously, behind the scenes, they're working on something. They're waiting to fix some of these technical issues before the conversation.
Interesting.
I'm sure everything will be fine. I just think that they're frantically running around behind the scenes like the Battle of Hoth.
No, that's a great point, but it's kind of redundant because only people watching us heard that.
Right. No, we're gonna post it on Twitter. We're gonna post it on Twitter. That's a good point.
Okay, so there's just elevator music playing while they're waiting, it seems like. I'm trying on my alt account to join on a different Twitter, but it's still not working. And then this one is just telling me error, pretty much. So yeah, it's crazy. This is actually breaking the internet.
That's why I'm like, oh, Jones wants more money. Folks, it's easy when you're a little provider that can be kicked off YouTube, kicked off Facebook. We're not a little guy that,
I mean, still, regardless, if we don't manage to enter, I'll just have to leech off Alex Jones because he's got it up and running. One of his crew members does, at least. One of the few lucky people to enter. But yeah, no one else has been able to enter. How many people are on this for Alex Jones? How do I check? I can't check. All right, whatever.
I'm like, please make me obsolete, man, because it's like being a soldier on the front line with 10 troops. I want 10,000.
Yeah, it's a whole different level.
So when we're doing this, we're not critiquing anybody. Like, please make me obsolete, please. That's why I love Musk. Please fix it all. Please get this off my back.
No, yeah, you're exactly right. I'm surprised they were able to get in. I obviously didn't join the space quick enough, and I just keep reloading it and just keep saying
it's obvious. I've been watching it for 30. It hits. I'm no engineer. It's at 205,000. That's the cap.
Yep.
I'm surprised they can take 205,000 people are able to dial into a thing where they can control things and talk.
Yeah,
205,000 people is the cap. I didn't know that.
Maracanã in Brazil is like 130,000 or more that they can fit into this stadium. But that's what it is. So it's like you got 10 million people trying to pour into the Maracanã. Like it doesn't fit. It doesn't hold that many people.
They're saying it's also on YouTube. I just looked at the chat there.
So I just think that that's the deal here.
Let me look it up on YouTube. Trump, Elon.
Everything, and maybe that's ultimately how this is going to end up, is Musk and Trump in the same room.
Well, the silver lining is they should say, cut all the other speakers, and they should
the life of a political
I don't know why.
You know me, I would have thrown a fit in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking at Fox News as well, but they are also just talking because apparently they're not in as well. Just checking other channels as well.
I'm not even, because I'm not the one trying to point the finger at X and Musk.
No, but what do you think's going to happen with Elon? Look, if Elon Musk and Alex Jones got 20.
Thank you all for being here and forward to new heights with Tesla.
That's just an AI video. I just clicked on a scam live stream. Sorry, let me put up Alex Jones for you.
Because they have computer largesse. They have interface.
This was too easy to predict. And so, hey, maybe it'll be
there's a lot of scam live streams
thing for X now, and they can figure out how to make it better in the future. I hope this thing ends up getting off sometime tonight. If not, though, you know what? Either way, Trump Musk.
Hey, we got an update from Elon Musk. Elon Musk says there appears to be a massive DDoS attack happening.
That's crazy.
This is not a failure of X so much as it is actual cyber attack happening, probably backed by people supported by the EU and others who have come out and.
Of course.
No, I mean, I agree with that because I figure Musk had this updated. Yeah. I think that probably is it.
So it's a DDoS attack.
Okay, well, tell us more what he said. Read it to us.
Yeah, let me find it real quick.
That's insane. Outrageous, man. You're gonna ruin my favorite day like this? I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
We're watching everything you do and to criminally charge you.
So this is what he said 2 minutes ago. Elon Musk has 45,000 likes now. Said there appears to be a massive DDoS attack on X, working on shutting it down. I assume he's referring to the DDoS attack. He says, worst case, we will proceed with a smaller number of live listeners and post the conversation later. So something is going to happen tonight for sure. But there's definitely a cyber attack happening, and this is an attack on freedom of speech right before our eyes, happening in real time.
Well,
yeah, here it is.
Because he's smarter than I am, and say, will you please just put out a video screen of the X spaces, because your video system is way more redundant, because he's calling it, oh, listeners. No, they're participants. It's why it has more bandwidth, because they have all that interface power. I'm not a technician, but I know the fact that a system where each person can interface and has all these controls.
All right, there is some speaking happening in the space right now.
Uh-oh.
Here it is.
Well, it looks like it went away. They just did a quick update in the space where they said there was a cyber attack, and now we're back to the hold music. Sorry about that, guys.
Hey, I love this attack. It only makes it bigger. If we don't, most people are like, oh God, we're attacked, we're going home. This is what happens in the info war, folks. I mean, you got Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Obviously, millions want to hear it. And I tell you, my gut level, which I said, I guarantee it's true. He probably boosted all the bandwidth, did major updates, but there's an attack on top of it. Because again, like I told you, it came out. Remember when they had to vote about bringing me back? That got attacked on.
Well, and I think it was the UK government that made that statement.
So far, the price action of Bitcoin is still 59,300. We have not seen much change.
It was the EU and UK.
So not too much of an impact
Did issue
yet.
a reply earlier today, and to put it short, I don't know what the EU or the UK government thinks it has to say about our speech in America, but I'm going to
picked one show because they can't stop all of us. So they act like if they can just stop this interview, which will only make it bigger. In fact, I hope they shut it down tonight. When Trump comes on in 3 days, it'll be 300 million instead of 100 million.
Musk should just.
Why didn't they do it in this format like Alex Jones is doing? They just should have live streamed on Twitter.
Yeah, but I've only experienced this. 25 million viewers when he talked to me for 2.5 hours. And then 25, 40, it was like, I quit counting.
Uh-oh, his video is delayed.
That was Alex Jones. They want to see the radicals, Owen.
But it is possible. Trump flew a popular streamer
59,400 Bitcoin.
Ross. They ended up getting 50 million views, 24 hours. I don't know where the number is now. The point is that it can be done. The platforms exist to have it done successfully. And so, to me, that is the foolproof strategy to go with. I'm not Donald Trump. I don't know if he was expecting this.
Look,
I don't know if he's frustrated by this.
He's using this to test his platform.
Yeah, I feel like that too. Like he could have just chosen a different platform instead to start this stream. And the lucky people that did get in first, the 180,000, or I think it's 200 something that they said, those people should also like try to spread it as much as they can, like Alex Jones is doing. He's got a crew member in that's gonna stream that for us because he actually managed to get in on time.
Harrison?
No, I'm just, he says Elon Musk just posted 42 seconds ago. We tested the system with 8 million concurrent listeners earlier today. So he's saying it's not a matter of the number of people joining in. It is the DDoS attack. That was a retweet of
I believe it.
DDoS statement. Yeah.
All right, so apparently it's the
Why
DDoS.
would the EU and the UK threaten to not do this interview?
Yeah, there it
the
is.
arrogance of these people, man. They're
right.
telling us we can't hear our president and Elon Musk. I mean, what?
That's what I was wondering. It almost seemed like an act of desperation because they knew Elon Musk wasn't going to go,
gonna make it
okay,
bigger."
sorry. Yeah, so why would you come out and make a demand that you know is not going to be met? I mean, it's just humiliating for
Yeah,
them.
this is Cyber Command doing this.
Yeah.
Well, he's been really harsh on what's been going on in the UK for the last couple weeks. And so I think that they kind of took that personally.
And by the way, that's a beta test, as you know, for the rest of the world.
Well, it's happening already. There was a story out of Buffalo, New York. And look, it's such a... People just need to see the end result. Forget about these ancient holy wars or this religion versus that religion. And just look at the end result of what's happened in England and realize that something similar is going to happen in the United States. Whether it's illegal migrant gangs and criminal gangs.
Yeah.
Or whether it's a new religion that has a base here. A Muslim group just purchased a cathedral in Buffalo, New York for $250,000, and they're going to turn it into a mosque. And so,
oh yeah, I saw that too.
Beautiful Catholic cathedral. The Catholics couldn't raise $250,000 to purchase it and save it, so the Muslims did. And so it's like,
It's a
where do you
gorgeous
think
building.
this goes? It's incredible. I don't know why. I mean, the Vatican couldn't step
They
in.
can't build these today. So let's explain something. Key point that I was just making. Ladies and gentlemen, this is history happening right now. And they're trying to censor this. They're trying to control this because they're so scared of what you're saying. Owen?
So I just don't want to live in an America that looks like the UK or specifically Britain, where the traditional English people are basically shoved aside and told, no, this replacement population now gets favorite treatment.
And that's the problem with Westerners is we're so
59,600
good.
Bitcoin.
We don't organize. The Muslims do. And it's their religion. They take over everywhere. They push everybody out. It's a fact.
I don't think it'll be Muslims here per se. I think when it comes here, it's going to be illegal alien gangs, I think.
And pervert groups.
And so that's the way
Pedophile, the Rainbow Pedophile Coalition.
this was set up. If you look at what's happened in England in the last few years, this was set up for the Muslim population to essentially assert its dominance over the English culture and civilization. That's what was being set up. Now we're finally seeing the final result, and people are shocked because the government's coming out and saying, nope, if you're a white Englishman, sit down, shut up, you're going to prison. If you're an Islamic man, you can go ahead and do whatever the hell you want, attack anybody, take over the civilization. It's fine. We're going to protect you in that endeavor.
By the way, I'm also looking at Fox's live stream, Fox News, just in case if they have something that's starting before. So I have both on at the same time.
welfare program.
Alex Jones and
so
Fox.
What's going to happen here is
Just in case.
the day
And also
that
myself
these
here
entitlements
on my
are
main
dropped,
account and my alt
the
account.
day that their welfare state gets cut off, they're going to start rioting. They're going to start burning cities. They're going to start destroying our country. And when people try to step up and stop it or call it out or say anything, you'll be the one that gets arrested. You'll be called
absolutely.
a racist,
I mean, they throw
a xenophobe.
What's really gotten even me just putting it outside like 10 million posts.
Here's also my Solana trade, by the way.
Elon
Just
Musk
immediately
says,
hit this.
we will proceed with the smaller number of concurrent listeners at 8:30 Eastern time, so that's in 2 minutes from now, and
Oh.
post the unedited audio immediately thereafter. So they are solving the problem.
Good.
All right.
It was a smart move to cut back to people can get on. That means they'll block the people coming in with the DDoS attacks. So let me just throw this out real quick.
Fortunately, I can't
What I'm
join.
trying to get at here is this is information warfare. And so who do I have in there posting on X? Because I see us with millions of viewers already tuned into us. So I want to put this out on X as another repost of the live feed. You guys got me? I want to put what I'm about to say out. I can do it myself right now. On X of the live show feed. I want to put this out right now. You guys ready?
Yeah, I'm listening to you right now.
All right, I want you to retweet this. I want you to post this on X. Elon Trump interview under hack attack.
Hack attack, DDoS attack.
Watch censored feed here.
Yeah.
Launch, which we're taking. It's all true. And that'll go super viral because people need to, the average person doesn't know they're being blocked. They don't know why they can get on. They're trying to find out. We got to tell them. We're already telling them what just happened. See, it's not hype. It's real.
Yeah, he's smart. That's smart.
Breaking. Elon Trump interview under hack attack. See
DDoS.
censored interview here live.
Just say DDoS attack.
That's the headline. And you see, we're not even
All right.
doing it in the
Obviously, we
future.
lost in
Already
Solana.
happened.
Not much else to say there.
People trying to hit the
Dumb move.
Elon link aren't able to get this because it's shut down. We're telling them. So you heard the headline right now. Exclusive. Elon Trump interviewed under hack attack. Hear and see censored interview at this link. Sound good? Something like that? All right, fire that out.
I'm also waiting on
Again,
Fox.
that's all you can do. Like
Fox
take what's
hasn't put out
happening,
anything
go,
yet.
oh God,
They're in a
they're
commercial
attacking us.
break, they say.
Beaten. I know most of you understand this, but use it against the enemy. That which doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. Owen?
James O'Keefe calls that distribution by proxy. And so that's essentially what we're doing. We're acting as a proxy for this X space between Trump and Musk.
Exactly. Whatever happens to their feed, we're jacked in boosting it. So they got to attack us too.
And so basically now,
We're all Spartacus.
so basically now all we have to do is act as one person taking that feed, and then we just feed it through our amplified feed to the millions of people that tune into us, and it only affects the X spaces to
And
the
that
factor
means
of
the
one.
enemy DDoSing their link, we get around them.
Yes.
So I was actually able to join the space somehow. Over 500,000 people have joined. I'm listening to the elevator music right now. It's coming from.
Oh, some people are joining.
Status, but I don't. Maybe I'm in
Please
here.
tell me
I
I'm
don't know. I
joining.
wonder how many people they're going to let in.
It's under
so-
massive attack. So
Yeah.
but don't
Start
worry.
listening.
They're gonna run ahead.
Oh my god, I'm in.
Even if they don't get on there tonight. Oh, Trump.
Hush,
Oh,
hush, hush. Welcome to Spaces. Okay, we got in. We got in. Recorded space. Yep. Oh, can they hear me? Okay, they can hear me. I was about to say. I don't know how Spaces work. This is one of my first few that I've ever entered.
Chase Geyser, what's the latest?
Okay, so we don't really need Alex Jones for now, though. In case this does crash again, I will keep Alex Jones on in the background. But I mean, we'll rather listen to this live, right? We're listening to the elevator music while we wait. Can I drop the volume of this or what? Oh, hi Trump. But then we're gonna start 700 other 1,000 listeners. Manage. What is this? What is this button? Doesn't tell me what this button does. I'm guessing this is a clip button. Is this chat? There's a chat. Oh, it's just the under the actual post. Okay, fair enough. Manage space. What is this manage space? Host. And here is me. There's 0 speakers. Trump is the host. Elon is the co-host. And then a bunch of randoms. Okay. Very nice. Yeah, so apparently we cannot touch the music of it. Let's just listen to
Like the same thing. There were too many
Alex
people.
Jones yap
So
for a
it's sign of
while.
success.
It's a sign of how popular it is. It's a sign of how big it is. It's basically the biggest event. I mean, biggest international soccer matches on the planet. They have to delay the games because too many people show up and they basically shut down the stadium. So that's what you're getting the equivalent of right
It
here.
does look like people are able to get in now. There's over 770,000 people in the space. I was able to join from my personal account. Dario was able to join as well, and others. So
All right,
it
so
might-
Yeah.
maybe they were able to block the DDoS attack.
So I'm gonna close the other thing that I had.
I'm gonna kill myself.
They got in.
I don't mean literally, but I mean.
I heard Krasnozine has a raging clue.
What does that mean?
It's a South Park episode. I'll send it to you later. You'll laugh.
I'm 50 now. Half the stuff you guys said, I'm good.
It's just the Hardy Boys like to find raging clues and disappear into a closet together.
Oh,
When they find a raging clue.
I only figured out what a bunch of stuff was years ago. I'm like, people are like, I'm not gonna even say it.
You know, look,
But
I
people were like
I-
telling me this sex stuff, and I was like, "What's that mean?" What I'm sorry.
like where a tampon goes with the Tim Walls.
Wait, the music stopped. The music stopped. I can hear rumbling a little bit. I can hear you, Trump. While Alex Jones is just yapping about other stuff. 800,000 listeners. Okay, the elevator music stopped.
gay fish.
I'm a gay fish.
All right, gay fish is what they're talking about. Oh, he's muted. Okay, it should be starting soon, I suppose. Pretty soon. Okay, we'll keep it on though. And I'll also keep this tab still open just in case. But we're starting to get that soon. Okay, Bitcoin 59,500. We dropped a little bit. We did hit... Oh, we hit 59,007. That's good. That's pretty good. I don't even know what I should be doing with crypto right now. Like, I'm not going to enter a trade live, would I? I mean, we're in an uptrend, right? In the... Well, at least in the 15-minute chart we are. Not in the 1 hours. 1 hour, we're kind of down. We're still considered in a downtrend. I would really like to go long. But anyway. Okay, well, nobody's talking. Still waiting, I guess.
Basis on top of it.
Well, Maybe they live and they learn. We'll see if this thing can even take off successfully tonight.
Well, we appreciate everybody tuned in. So let's shift gears while we're waiting. We basically complained for 30 minutes, which is fine. It's good to have a technological critique.
No, we've had fun. This has been fun.
But what's the biggest news right now? For me, it's Kamala, who helped pass the law to hire 86,000 IRS agents to target workers, service workers that would get tips, and then stealing Trump's deal, or Pelosi admitting, oh, I think that letter was fake. Biden didn't really resign. That's why trying to cover her ass. And then we've got, just all this other, Ukraine has attacked Russia 5 days ago and gone like 50 miles in, and and NATO's backing in.
Yeah.
It's a total insane escalation. And then we've got, it's all just cuckoo town. So, what else? There's a lot to talk about here.
Well, geopolitically, there have been some major developments. I don't know. That's like a long stream broadcast to get into that. I think when we look at the U.S. election, though, I think it's so stunning. It's so stunning to sit here and watch these Harris rallies where now she's campaigning on strong borders. She's literally stealing Trump's campaign policy, no tax on tips. What's next? She's going to come out.
She's like
in a red
Joy
hat.
Reid. She may have gold hair tomorrow.
That's what I'm saying. She's going to come out in a red hat and
they came out the camo. They're running the camo hat now. They're not just taking Trump's policies. They're trying to steal like the style, the Make America Great Again style, and make it a little bit different. It's like the off-brand Make America Great Again.
Here's like the outside thing that stuns me that I can't help but notice though is the absolute state of brainwashing that
Elon is on too. I think they were probably waiting on Elon.
Complete and total mind control where they don't even blink.
They're both muted.
Kamala
No elevator
Harris
music.
is running against her own administration. She's literally running against the economy that she created.
She claims she's going to do. Trump was honest in June. He goes, I was in Vegas. A waitress comes over and says, why don't you get rid of taxes on tips? He goes, great idea. And then she was the one that engineered and bragged to squeeze waitresses.
There's a policy.
And so it's one thing if she stole it. It's another thing that she's the queen of raping service workers. You cannot, it's such a perfect fraud.
But the lemmings stand behind her and cheer and clap. Like they love it. And I'm just sitting here. Because if you look at the original founding of this country and the political science when it first was founded, we've really kind of gone off pasture in a lot of ways.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't mean just the basic constitutional violations, but I mean how the actual science is applied.
No, I hear you. It's
like these people shouldn't vote. I'm to the point now where I'm like, F your voting rights, bro.
Did you see the women? I never played it today. Can you guys cue that up? Of the Democrat Party women howling like animals, saying she a woman, she black. Have you seen this clip?
Yeah, and that's what their three big issues. When Kamala Harris voters were asked, what are your three main issues? It was abortion, she's black, and she's a woman. Congratulations. Okay, so abortion. What percentage of Americans does abortion actually apply to every year?
Very small.
50.
A tiny fraction.
5%.
And so,
oh, what?
Okay, so that doesn't really apply to many people as a political issue. And then
I thought 50% of the population was women.
Well, what if she's a black woman and her policy is I'm going to stab you in the throat? So, okay, well, she's a black woman. She's going to stab me in the throat. So that's great. I'm going to vote for her. This is where we're at. So you need to have a basic civics test or a basic political IQ test.
No, I agree.
Something.
Did you guys find the clip?
Yeah, I haven't seen
that. I
that
it this morning. I didn't get to it. They're literally howling at a rally.
They went, we're gonna win. We're gonna win.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh my God.
Well, I saw
That was annoying. So cringe to look at.
Here's the clip.
Don't play the clip. Oh my God.
Not to be, cocky, but I'm optimistic.
I've always been
Yeah.
She's a woman.
She's a woman.
Black, and she'll be the first president candidate that I think she will win. And like I said, I'm all about
look at these
equal
people.
access and equal women.
Look at that woman behind him.
Choice.
These are full-blown lunatics. Sorry, go ahead.
100%.
Well, the other video is the Taylor Hanson video where it's the woman saying, I'm a gay trans man, which means she is a straight woman. And she's saying, I have ear piercings and colored hair, and if Trump gets
They might actually be waiting for 1 million listeners. Okay,
Hello, everyone.
there's Elon.
So,
Okay,
my apologies for the late start. We unfortunately had a massive distributed denial of service attack
yeah.
against our servers, and saturated all of our data lines. Like basically hundreds of gigabits of data were saturated. We think we've overcome most of that, and so it's now time to proceed. But
Good job.
as this massive attack illustrates, there's a lot of opposition to people just hearing what President Trump has to say, and but I'm honored to have this conversation. I want to emphasize it's a conversation, and it's really intended to just get a feel for what Donald Trump is just like in a conversation. It's hard to catch a vibe about someone if you just don't hear them talk in a normal way. And when there's an adversarial interview, like no one's themselves in an adversarial interview. So and this is really aimed at kind of open-minded, independent voters who just trying to make up their mind. And so you can understand like what is
They actually waited for
what
1
it's
million.
like to have a conversation. So honored to Donald, great to speak. We had a great conversation yesterday. As you mentioned yesterday, if we could just record that conversation and post it, it would have been excellent. And I hope we can have something like that today.
Well, I think we will. I'm pretty sure we will. And congratulations, because I see you broke every record in the book with so many millions of people, and it's an honor. We view that as an honor. And then you do want silencing of certain voices. Usually those are voices that have something to say that are constructive, oftentimes constructive. And
Yeah.
so we have to consider it an honor. But congratulations on breaking every record in the book tonight. That's great.
Well, thank you. Well, I mean, maybe we could start off with, the assassination attempt, which
Damn.
was an incredible thing. And I have to say that, your actions after that assassination attempt were inspiring. You instead of shying away from things, instead of ducking down, you were pumping your fist in the air and saying, fight, fight, fight. And I think that's, I mean, the president of the United States represents America, and I think that is America. That is strength under fire, and so that's a big part of the reason why I was excited to endorse you as the president of the United States for having another term here. Is that was just incredibly inspiring. But I mean, what was it like for you?
Not pleasant, I have to
Not
be honest.
pleasant.
I
Of
see
course.
there was blood. I had
Being
more
shot is
blood.
not much fun.
I didn't know I had that much blood. The doctors later told me that the ear is a place that is a very bloody place if you're going to get hit. But in this case, it was probably the best alternative you could even think about, because it went at the right angle, and it was a hard hit. It was very, I guess you would say surreal, but it wasn't surreal. I was telling somebody you have instances like this, or like a lot less than this, where you feel it's a surreal situation, and I never felt that way. I knew immediately that it was a bullet. I knew immediately that it was at the ear,
Yeah.
and because it hit very hard, but hit the ear. And I also heard people shout, "Bullets, bullets!" Get down, get down, because I moved down pretty nicely, pretty quickly, and we had bullets flying right over my head after I went down. So I'm glad I went down. The bigger miracle was that I was looking in the exact direction of the shooter, and so it hit me at an angle that was far less destructive than any other angle. So that was the miracle. That was,
Yeah.
for those
Split
people that
second.
don't believe in God, I think we got to all start thinking about that. You have to, I'm a believer now. I'm more of a believer, I think, and a lot of people
Amen,
have said
brother.
that to me. A lot of great people have said that to me, actually. But it was amazing that I happened to be turned just at that perfect
Yeah.
angle.
Absolutely
And,
divine intervention there.
all because I put put down a chart on immigration that showed that the numbers were so great. I love that chart even
I mean,
more
maybe
now
it's a
that I was.
sign. Maybe
Yeah,
that's a sign, you know.
it's an immigration sign.
You
But
highlighted a serious issue, and
yeah,
at that moment,
that's right.
the bullet missed your, you know, hit your ear, but you know, missed your head. I mean,
Well,
you know,
the
yeah,
amazing thing is
Oh,
that the sign, I said, bring down that sign on immigration. And it was literally about an eighth of a second where it would be good. And after that, it was going to
yeah,
be a disaster, no matter which way you were facing. But it just had that perfect angle, which was
yeah,
exactly at this shooter. Very sad situation. Such a sad situation. As you know, we lost somebody that was great, Corey,
yeah,
who, a firefighter,
Rip
a great
Corey.
gentleman, a great trumper. He was just a fantastic family and a fantastic man. And a friend of mine came up, Elon, and said, "I'd like to give the family some kind of help." And I said, "That's great." He said, "Do you mind?" I said, "I don't mind at all." And he wrote out a check for $1 million, gave it to the wife. And, you know, she said, "This is really nice, but I'd rather have my husband back," which is a nice thing for
sure,
somebody to say, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
She's great. The family is great. And we raised a lot of
yeah,
money for them and for two other gentlemen are unbelievable people also. They were hit really badly. They thought they were not going to make it, and they did. The doctors in the Butler area, I tell you, they were incredible. They saved the two, and they were really hit tough, both of them
yeah,
equally. And we thought
yeah,
my first question was because I heard bullets flying over me. I said, "How many people were killed?" Because we had a massive crowd there, a tremendous
yeah,
thousands and thousands of people, and there was no land. I mean, it was all people. So I said, "How many people have been killed?" Because I knew there were other shots being fired,
sure,
and they said, "We don't know yet, but some people have been badly hurt." And I have to give the Secret Service sniper, they call him, or sharpshooter, but sniper,
yeah,
because he didn't know there was a problem. He's an extraordinary shot, obviously, and he
Crazy
didn't know there was
shot.
a problem. And he was
yeah,
able to pick it all out within 5 seconds. And he used one bullet from very far away, I guess probably about 400 yards. The shooter was 130, but he was on
yeah,
he was on the opposite side of the field and the podium, and he saw the smoke and the flame from the gun, immediately recognized it, and immediately took a shot. And it was one perfect shot from very far away. And if he didn't do
yeah,
that, Elon, he would have. I mean, if he would have, a lot of people, a lot more people could have been
sure,
badly hurt and killed. So
yeah,
I have to
absolutely,
take my hat off to him because that's also a surreal. You know, he's been with them for 23 years, and
yeah,
he's never had anything like this. And all of a sudden, he has to act, and it's a very tough thing to
sure,
act and to be shooting somebody. But he saw the gun, saw the smoke, saw the flame from the gun, very far away. I obviously has very good eyes. He's got very good vision, which I assume you have
yeah,
to have in that particular work. But he took
absolutely,
aim very quickly, and they say it was approximately 5 seconds from long range,
yeah,
one bullet. If that didn't happen,
yeah,
because the shooter had a lot of bullets, he had a lot of cartridges up
sure.
there
Could
with
have done
him.
a lot more damage.
Well,
So I
That's
agree.
right.
I mean that's clearly you know, he was very confident in taking that shot to stop the attempted assassination. But I mean, there does seem to be, I mean, some pretty significant failings elsewhere in the system. Like, there's just no way that, like, how on earth does a shooter get on a roof 130 yards away? That seems crazy. I think most people people are wondering how on earth could such a thing happen?
Well, I view it as two ways. There should have been nobody on the roof. There were people,
Yeah,
because there were so many tens of thousands of people there. There were people that were seeing him, and there was one woman with a red shirt and
right.
Trump all over
I
it,
saw
and
the videos.
she's screaming. That guy's got a gun. You saw it probably.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
a
No, I
guy
saw
up
the
there
videos.
with a
I
gun.
mean,
So.
it's like I guess, I mean, for my part, and I think probably many members of the public are wondering how the heck are, you know, basically people wondering by it, pointing out there's a guy on the roof with a gun,
Yeah.
and they're seeing it, but somehow it's not being addressed. That does seem
Yeah,
crazy.
well, they're going to learn from this. The communication between the local police, who sort of had an idea, and then ultimately a man lifted himself up to the roof, could barely do it because he was pulling himself up, and
Yeah.
he saw the man with the gun. The man with the gun pointed the gun at him. He thought he was probably going to get shot, but he was like pulling himself up, and because of that, he couldn't get to his gun, and he fell down. Actually, very badly hurt his leg, his ankle. I hear very badly,
Okay.
but he fell down, and he did. From what I understand, he did say there's a guy up there with a gun, and the shooting started very quickly after that. I think it forced the shooter to go maybe quicker. He was supposed to be a very good shot.
Yeah.
My sons, Don and Eric, they can't believe what happened, but they said from 130 yards, a bad shot would hit that target almost every time. They said it's like in golf,
Yeah.
sinking a 2-foot putt.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's not
Wow.
it's not a tough shot.
It's not a long shot.
And apparently this guy had
Secret
training
Service
where the
says
FBI
it's a
did
long
their
shot. He
training,
had
so this is definitely
triple
something that's
distance, actually.
done behind the
So
scenes.
it was a terrible thing. Look, it's hard. I have to say this about the Secret Service. When I went down, and I went down based on, I think, they're screaming, but other people also, because people saw this happen. You had so many people. One of the miracles was that nobody ran. I mean, if a gun goes off, the crowd
Yeah.
control people showed us this. When guns go off, and it does happen in stadiums at a soccer match or some kind of a match,
I missed this.
everybody
Whoops.
flees. They call it a stampede, like cattle. But everybody, and a lot of
Yeah.
people get killed with those stampedes. We had
Sure.
more people than you'd have at, some of these matches or these games, and nobody left. You had a small group behind us in the grandstand, and that was full. And you look at it as it was taking place, and normally they'd be running. They didn't leave. They saw that I was hurt. They saw a lot of blood, and they saw that I went down, and it's almost like they wanted to be with me. Well, out front, you had thousands, tens of thousands of people. As far as the eye could see, you had people in Butler, as far as the eye could see, and
Yeah.
and a lot of press too. There was, many cameras on watching this. It's what makes it so different, because normally things happen that aren't good, but you never have a picture of it. Here we have all these cameras shooting it, so sort of amazing. But one of the
Would this
interesting
work?
things
Am I
was that
too zoomed in?
you didn't have anybody
I
flee.
think it's
You didn't
fine.
have anybody stampede.
Sure.
Nobody.
Looks
And there
better.
were some people behind me. They stood up and they're looking like, I mean, I tell you, you want to have
Yeah.
them in a foxhole with you. I want to meet some of those people,
Sure.
because
Sure.
it's so different from what you heard. But so I was down. But the Secret Service
Yeah.
guys, there were bullets flying right over my head. You could hear them go whizzing, and
Yeah.
these guys came jumping on top of me, and a young lady, Kate, uh, would jump. They moved so fast, and let me tell you, that took tremendous courage. Now there was a lack of
Yeah, I'll admit they were pretty fast at
coordination.
covering him.
There was, obviously everybody understands that
Did bad
someone in
job at
that building should have
securing
been
the
covered,
general area, though.
and
Yeah. I mean,
that was
I
the
think
big
that
thing.
looking at the aerial views, that building would be like the number one spot for a sniper. I mean, it's like the if you were to pick like what is the favorite place, what if you so if the goal is to assassinate, what's your favorite spot? That building. The
You're
roof of
right.
that building would be number one.
That would have been the spot.
It's like you can ask for a better
No,
location. It's like number
no, that
one.
would have been the spot.
Um,
You know what people think
yeah.
is when the local policeman, who, by the way, he really he did what he was supposed to do. He couldn't hold on any longer. And then when he got
Yeah.
his head just peeking above, this guy standing there with a gun at his head. And when he fell down, again, hurt his ankle very badly, but he was making the calls. But what happened is the firing took place very soon. So what they
Yeah.
think is that this guy ran to his site, which he had all planned out with the gun. He ran to the site and he started shooting fast. And maybe that's why he sort of missed. I mean, he uh,
Yeah. But
he
as you
got
said,
me, but
he
it
would have
could have
hit.
been
I mean,
a much
yeah.
bigger problem.
But he totally would have hit if you hadn't turned your head. So, like, there was it was a very near thing.
It was a
So,
miracle. If I hadn't
um,
turned my head,
yeah,
I would not be talking to you right now. As much as I like you,
exactly.
I would not.
Yeah,
I would
well,
not be talking
Yeah,
to
I
you.
mean,
last second head
we're looking
tilt.
to be from another realm, perhaps.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. We'd be talking from a
so
different place. But it was a, it was a very terrible experience. The Butler Hospital, they did such a great job. The doctors were so good. Everybody was so good. There was a mistake. If somebody knew, because people were hearing that, there was just a bad feeling that there was somebody was around. You know that story now. It's been pretty
yeah,
well.
yeah,
And
yeah,
if somebody could have said, because they've oftentimes said,
How did this
like
picture
there'd be a
happen, I
lightning
wonder?
storm or something. Because I've done, I think, over 300. I think I did a lot more than that, but we did a lot. And oftentimes they'll say, "Sir, could you wait 10 minutes, please? Sir, could you wait 20 minutes? There's a storm overhead or lightning or something," right? And
yeah,
that happens
yeah,
often.
Oh, what
And this
happened?
would have been a
Alex
perfect
Jones
time
is
for that to
banned.
have happened, but it
yeah.
didn't get coordinated. That was the problem.
I think his video is not working on
Well,
his repost.
it was your. I think your actions in the heat of fire, and like what I found admirable there was that you can't fake bravery under such circumstances. The courage is instinctual or it is not. It's not a rehearsed action. And so I just want to say that I think a lot of people admire your courage under fire there. And
Well,
yeah, so
thank you very
yeah,
much. I appreciate it. I didn't think of it. I just wanted to get up and I wanted to stand up. I wanted to let people know, I felt I was good when they were on top of me, covering me, actually, very much covering me and very bravely. But I wanted to get up. I said, I want to get up. And they wanted, they have everything there. They wanted stretcher. I didn't like the stretcher. And I knew I was hit in the ear, but I knew I wasn't hit anywhere else. They felt I was hit someplace else
yeah,
because it was such a lot of blood, and they were sure that I was hit someplace else. And they were saying, "Sir, you were hit in more than the ear." I said, "Nope, I was hit in the ear. I want to get up. Let me get up." And so I got up, and the crowd didn't know what to think. I mean, this was so many people, and you could see they were confused. They didn't know what to think, and I wanted to let them know I was okay. It was very important for me to let them
yeah,
know that, and they went wild. You've seen the after. They didn't go wild when I
yeah,
got up because they
Huge
didn't know
cheering for him
I
after
was
he got up,
alive.
I will
You really couldn't
admit.
tell when I stood up before the hand, before the fist in the air. Uh, they didn't know if I was alive. Nobody did, and when I put the fist up, they were just relieved and happy and thrilled, and the place went crazy. It was pretty amazing.
yeah.
It was a
Well,
terrible thing, but it
it was
was really nice.
incredibly moving. Yeah. Well, and I mean, speaking of the sort of slide that got you to turn that saved your life, really, was the illegal immigration
Right,
slide. Maybe this
that's right.
maybe this is worth talking about that,
It
since
was it was.
that slide
You're
saved your
right.
life,
No,
basically.
the illegal immigration saved my life. You're right, but I
I
had to
know
be at
that's
that
the.
exact angle.
I mean, that's a great one. Saved by illegal
You know
immigration.
the incredible
100%.
thing though, when you talk about the odds, you had to be exactly at that angle. But the
Yeah,
incredible thing is that the chart I used it less than 20% of the time. It was just a moment.
yeah,
It's always on my left, never my right, and it's always at the end of the speech. So here
yeah,
we have it. It's on the right, not the left. It's at the beginning, not the end.
That's crazy.
And even the people that put it up, they were unprepared, and they did a great job. They got it up immediately, fortunately. But I looked to the right, and the bullet came whizzing by, hitting my ear. So it
So
was
much
amazing. But when
coincidence
you
on
think of the
that.
odds of that,
The odds.
and
yeah, yeah,
normally you wouldn't use it. Normally I wouldn't have the thing, and then it would
yeah.
have been a very different story. It's very much. I say an act of God. It's a miracle that it happened, and I'm
Indeed.
Sure.
honored by it. I'm honored by it.
Well, what were you about to say about illegal immigration before you were rudely interrupted?
Oh,
Well, I was
yeah.
going to say how good the numbers were. By the way, we're going back to Butler,
Oh, yeah, he
and
is. He's going
we're
back
going to go
to
back
that
in
same spot.
October. We're all set up, and the people are fantastic in Butler. It's
Well, I don't know if the
a
exact same
great
spot, but
area.
he's going back to
These
Butler,
are incredible people.
Pennsylvania.
like the three that, in the case of Corey, killed, and the other two, the families are. I got to know them a little bit, and the families are great. But we're going back to Butler, and I think I'll probably start by saying, as I was saying,
As,
you
yeah,
know,
as you
prior
were
to
saying,
being so
exactly.
horribly
So,
interrupted.
yeah,
But
Yep.
yeah. So rudely interrupted by an
yeah,
assassination
so I was.
attempt.
But no, but the chart,
Some people have no manners.
Elon, the chart was just a chart that in my last week we had the best illegal immigration numbers, meaning stopping. It was at the lowest. You've seen the chart. It's become quite a famous
Yeah,
chart,
yeah,
but that was the lowest
yeah.
point ever recorded. It was a really, I mean, I was very proud of those numbers. And then you see what happened with these people, Kamala and Joe. You see what happened. They just let it go. I had remain in Mexico policies. I had all these different policies that was so good. Uh, Guys like Tom Holman and Brandon Judd from Border Patrol. All these are all people that they've been on television. They says the best numbers we've ever had. We had so many different checks, catch and release in Mexico, not the United. We had catch and release in the United States. We had it in Mexico. We had so many things. We had things where if people, many people come in there, they have contagious diseases. We had everything passed. If you have a contagious disease, I'm sorry, but we cannot allow you into the country. So we were setting
Yeah,
literally records, and I all I was doing is showing that, and I use it sometimes,
sure.
and in this case, I'm glad I used it. I can tell you that, but they were fantastic numbers. But I'm going to sleep with that chart always. I'll be sleeping with that chart. That chart
It
was
indeed
very
did save
important,
his life
very
there.
important for a lot of reasons.
Well, I mean, would it be accurate to say that you're supportive of legal immigration, um, but but we also need to shut down illegal immigration, and especially unvetted illegal
Yes,
immigration, because and that's not the same as saying that everyone who's an illegal immigrant is bad. In fact, I think most people who are illegal immigrants are actually good, but you can't tell a difference unless there's a solid vetting of who comes across the border. Does that accurately
100%.
I
represent
would
your
have liked to
position?
have
I
entered
say it
here.
very simply. They have to come in legally.
Unfortunate.
They have to be checked
Yeah.
because look, Kamala was the border czar. Now she's denying it. Everything that I do, she's
Yeah.
saying she was strong on the border. We're going to be strong. Well, she doesn't have to say it. She could close it up right now. They could do things right now. It's horrible. Uh, no tax on tips, and all of a sudden she's making a speech and there will be no tax on tips. I said
Yep.
that months ago. And by the way, they had just the opposite. You know, they had not only tax on tips, but they hired 88,000 IRS agents, and many of them were assigned to go get waitresses and caddies and all of this on tips. They have a policy. They had a policy that they were really going to go after you and were really harassing people horribly. And then all of a sudden, for politics, she says, you know, she comes out with what I said, which I think is terrible, and I think it's also hitting them very hard. These people are fake. Now they're also saying they did a good job in the border. We had the worst numbers in the history of the world, not of our country. There's never been a country in history that has had a catastrophe like this. We've had, I believe, and I think you believe this too, you know, you hear 12
Yeah.
million, 13. I believe it's over 20 million people came into our country,
Yeah.
many coming from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions, or a bigger version of that is
Yeah.
insane asylums, and many are terrorists. And I'll tell you what, they're coming not just from South America, they're coming from Africa, they're coming from all over the world. They're coming from Asia, they're
Yeah.
coming from the Middle East, they're coming from countries that are uh, stupidly and horribly bombing Israel October 7th. They're coming from all over the world. And you know, you look at it's so sad October 7th because it should have never happened.
Yeah.
It's so sad when
Sure.
you look at Ukraine.
Because
It
Iran
should
was
have never
broke.
happened. We have a defective
Yeah.
government. These are defective people, and they're not people that should be running it. But where you see it the best is the border, because you have millions of people coming in a month, and then she gets up and she tries to pretend like she's going to do something. She had 3.5 years. And by the way, they have another 5 months that they can do something, but they
Yeah.
won't do anything. It's all talk. She's
No.
incompetent and he's incompetent. And frankly, I think that she's more incompetent than he is. And that's saying something because he's not too good.
Yeah. No. I think it is. essential to have a secure border. I mean, you're really not a country unless you have a
Correct.
secure border, and
And
uh,
secure elections
you
too.
know, yeah, absolutely secure elections, and so it's just essential to have a real border, or we can't function as a country.
They don't like
And
Alex Jones interrupting this chat. I'm using his chat because I don't have a chat, but yeah.
As we were talking about earlier, I think having a legal immigration process that is smooth and efficient and done well, and speaking as someone who is a legal immigrant, and I think I mean, like one way to think of it is, who do you want on your team? Um, who do you want on Team America? And I think we want to just say, okay, we want to let in people who are gonna, be great contributors to our society and to our economy,
Right.
and and who do you want on the team? And it's not to say that, like in my opinion, actually, I'd say like probably most of the illegal immigrants actually are actually good, hardworking people. That's my opinion. But some are not, and you just have this sort of adverse selection process where, if somebody's, if somebody's like you know, uh, has a career in theft or robbery, I don't understand what's taken them so long to get here, because we're such a target-rich environment. Um, I mean, why aren't more people who have a career in, bad things coming here sooner? Because I mean, it's a piece of cake to go rob, houses in LA or New York, compared to other parts of the world.
That's true.
And in a lot of places in America, if you try to stop the person who's robbing you, you'll be arrested.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Corrupt
That's
system.
right. I mean, what's happening with crime, and our police are so good, but they're not allowed to do their job. But I have to tell you, Elon, I
they're
hate
not.
to say it because it's such a downer to say it. I hate to say it. I hate it, but you have a lot of people that just shouldn't be. I think it's a much bigger number than you think. They're
I
allowing,
think you're
again,
right.
they're
Yeah.
allowing people from their jails. And if you were running one of these countries where they're coming from, you would have had all of them. As an example, Venezuela, their crime is down 72%. They're taking their drug dealers, they're taking, frankly, their prisoners, they're emptying out their prisons. They're taking their criminals, their murderers, their rapists, and they're
Yeah.
delivering them into
But
the.
that's what Castro did.
Yeah,
That
well, he did
he,
on a much smaller scale.
yeah,
It was a much smaller
yeah.
scale. But this is a massive scale because this is being done worldwide. But here's what's happening: crime all over the world is down. And wait till you see the numbers that we have. This is migrant crime. This is crime that's going to be.
Yeah.
And I saw it today in New York where somebody was knifed with raped the girlfriend of a man that stood there watching in New York in one of the shelters and started
Sure.
pulling out the knives, and bad things happen today. But this is happening every day. These are
Terrible.
rough people. These are people that are in jail for
Yeah.
murder and all sorts of things, and they're releasing them into our country, and they're telling them, if you come back, we're going to kill you. We're going to give you the death penalty or kill you. So they don't want to come back. But these are rough people.
Yeah.
These are criminals that make our criminals look like nice people, and it's horrible what they're doing. And she's in charge of it because now she's trying to say she
Sure.
had nothing to do with it, and she's such a liar because she was called the border czar the first day, and it was on the headlines of every newspaper. She's the border czar, and she never even went there. She went to one location which had nothing to do with where the problem is. She went in and out, I
Right.
guess, because she was getting a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
had nothing to do where the problem
Yeah.
is. But she was
Well.
the
Well.
border czar, and the people
Yeah. Yeah.
can't allow them to get away with their disinformation campaign. Now she's trying to say that she wasn't. She wasn't really involved, and the whole thing is horrible. She was totally in charge. She could have shut the border down without him. He didn't know what he was doing anyway, so he wouldn't have even known
Yeah.
what happened. You could shut the border down; he
Yeah.
wouldn't even know the difference. But uh, the fact is that she was border czar. But if you don't have to call her
Yes.
that, the fact is you could just call her. She was in charge of the border, and the border was the worst
Right.
ever.
It's simply not working.
No, it's
I mean,
horrible.
whether it's by whether it's a question of of intention or competence, either way, we don't have a secure border, and we have people streaming over like it looks like a World War Z zombie apocalypse at times. And sometimes you got to sort of wonder, like, is it real or not? So because you see things, you're like, is it real? So I went to the border at Eagle Pass, and I saw for myself in Texas, and I was like, okay, it's real. I'm like seeing this in real time. I actually posted the video like just live. I just flew there one day and just to see, hey, is this made up or real? And I'm just seeing people stream across the border.
Well, there you go.
And
It's confirmed
and I have to say,
by Elon
the
himself.
people that I saw did not look friendly.
Yeah.
So
These are
people can look at my video and say, hey,
Yeah.
these people look friendly. I don't look super friendly. So
These are people that Elon would not be the same man if he had to walk across the street and look these people in the eye. These are rough people. These are really rough people coming across. And I know rough people. And these are people that we don't want in our country. And the caravans are coming in and they're putting and who's doing this are the heads of the countries. And you would be doing
yeah,
it, and so would I. And everyone would say, oh, what a terrible thing to say. The fact is, it's brilliant for them because they're taking all of their bad people, really bad people. And I hate to say this, the reason the numbers are much bigger than you would think is they're also taking their non-productive people. Now, these aren't people that will kill you. We have enough of them, but these are people that are non-productive. They are just not productive. I mean, for whatever reason, they're not
yeah.
workers or they don't want to work or whatever. And these countries are getting rid of non-productive people in the caravans in many cases. And they're also getting rid of their murderers and their drug dealers and the people that are
Yeah,
really brutal people. And they're coming into our country
yeah,
at levels that have never been seen before. And I saw an ad just before I got on the air. I'm walking over here, and I saw an ad by Kamala saying how she is going to provide border security. Where has she been for 3.5 years? For 3.5 years,
yeah. No, no.
Exactly.
we have 20 million people
This I
poured
think is
in. It's a terrible
Yeah, I
thing.
think this, frankly, I think this is a fundamental existential issue for the United States. And if we have another 4 more years of open borders, and it's going to be even worse with another 4 more years,
Look how
it's going to be
terrible.
even worse than it's been for the past, 3.5 years. I'm not sure we've got a country
You don't have
left
a country
at that
left.
point.
Elon, if they get in, you will have 50 to 60 million people from all over the world, not South America only. We think of South America, we think of Honduras and El Salvador,
Yeah, no.
Guatemala, and Mexico, the four. But it's not that. It's everywhere. They're coming in from
Yeah,
everywhere.
Exactly. That's
And
the
I had to
big
stay in
problem.
Yeah, I think
Mexico.
this is a super important
Yeah.
point. Like people, it's like basically when I went down there, I was like, well, where are people from? It's like almost no one was from Mexico. To be
No,
clear,
Mexico
it's
less
it's just it's just
less
it's
than
just the
the others.
border. It's just the border with Mexico. But the people coming in, it's Earth, the rest of Earth,
Hmm.
and America is only about 4 or 5% of the population of Earth. It would only take a few percent of the rest of Earth to overwhelm everything in the
We're
U.S.
already
So
overwhelmed, Elon. We're overwhelmed. You had to see the news tonight about New York. New York, and I love that place, and what they're doing to it is horrible, what they're doing to it. And all the courts do is they
yeah,
try and focus on Trump. Okay, then let's focus on Trump, who did nothing wrong. I complain about a rigged election. Elon, what's happened is unbelievable. You have from Africa, from the Congo, they're coming from the Congo, and 22 people came in from the Congo recently, and they're murderers, and they dropped them. They drop them. They take them out of jails, which is very expensive, to maintain the jails. Although they don't do too much maintaining, I can tell you. But they take them out of jails, prisons. They take them out, and they bring them to the United States. They deposit them in the United States and say, "Don't ever come back, or you're going to be executed." And they don't want to come back, but they won't come back.
sure.
But they're coming from Africa. They're coming from Asia. They're coming from the Middle East. They're coming from South
Well,
America.
just
They're
Earth,
coming from
rest of Earth,
everywhere.
basically.
And there are a lot of
Yeah,
really
everywhere on
bad
Earth.
ones.
It's just an everywhere on Earth thing, and it's just not possible for the United States to absorb everyone from Earth, or even a few percent of the rest of Earth. It's just not possible.
Well,
So
Elon, we're going to have
that's
just to
yeah.
finish this up. We're going to have the largest deportation in history of this country, and we have no choice. Otherwise, we're going to have a country. What they've done to our country. Think of it, with in Venezuela and in some of these other countries, crime is down 50, 60, 70, 80%. And you would be the same. You would have,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
tell you what, Venezuela has not gotten rid of all of them. They've gotten rid of about 70% of their really bad people. Their jails are about 50% uh, put into the United States. Same with other countries. Some
sure.
are at 30%, some are at 50%. They're all different. But the bottom line is they're all going to be at 100%. Why wouldn't you put 100% of it?
Yeah,
And they're doing it right now while this third-rate phony candidate. Don't forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably. And, some people said, oh, gee, it's too bad. It's too bad he did so badly, or I did well in the debate. The first night they said, wow, one of the people at CNN said that was the greatest debate performance I've ever witnessed. And then 2 days later, they didn't talk about that. They just said he was bad. But that's okay. That's the way I get treated, and I don't mind that at all. What I can tell you is this. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden in a
it's
different. Look,
yeah.
she hasn't done an
I mean,
We
interview
already have like
since
live
this
yeah,
whole scam
details of
started.
how she's been
And
running the
say
border,
what
and
you
this is
want.
how
This
it's
yeah,
was a
been.
coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said we can do it the nice
yeah.
way or we can do it the
No,
hard
That's
way.
also true. I
yeah.
feel like Joe Biden
They
was
took him
forced
out
out.
back behind the shed and basically shot him.
Oh, what they did
Biden.
with this guy,
So
and
Yeah.
I'm no
yeah,
fan of his, and he was a horrible president, the worst president in history. And one of the reasons he was so bad, first of all, the Israeli attack would have never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Russia would never have attacked Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd have no inflation. And we wouldn't have
Yep.
had the Afghanistan mess, if you think of it.
well,
And we wouldn't have had
yeah,
Afghanistan. But we think of it,
well, yeah.
you take a few of those events away, and we have a different world. We would also have
No,
no
no, you're yeah.
inflation was caused by oil.
Yeah, no, no. I think you're making an excellent point here, which is that when other countries can, that are, are thinking about invading or doing bad things, when they're thinking about that, they're thinking about, okay, what's the American president going to do, and do they fear the American president, or is there someone they do not respect or and do not fear? And I think they would they rightfully be. I mean, look at the footage of the assassination. They're like,
What the
okay,
heck is this?
uh, President Trump is like, don't mess with me. I mean, that's like, whereas I think people are not going to be, and they obviously have not been at all intimidated by Biden, and they certainly will not be intimidated by Kamala. And you have to really think of that in the context of global security.
2 million viewers
That's
confirmed, by the way.
that if
1.2
the
million
American
here,
president is
800K here,
someone that
900.
like evil dictators are scared of, that makes a huge difference to the security of the world.
And would
So I
assume
had a
another
good
1 million in
relationship with
YouTube.
Putin, despite the Russia hoax that lasted for over 2 years. Just a hoax created by Hillary Clinton and
Good
Adam
relationship
Schiff,
with Putin.
some just bad people, just sick people, frankly. I mean, Schiff is a sick person. He's going to end up probably being a senator. It's hard to believe. The whole thing is hard to believe. But, they put our country in danger with that stuff, too. They actually, when they make up stories, and you have to fight your way out of it for a long time. But I know Putin very well. I got along with him very well. He respected me, and it's just one of those things. And we would talk a lot about Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye. But I said, don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. I shut down Nord Stream 2. That was the big oil pipeline, the biggest, I think, the biggest pipeline in the world going all over Europe. I shut it down. Biden came, and then they say,
Yeah,
I loved Russia. I was a friend of Putin, and I loved Russia. No, he actually said to me one time, he said, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as an enemy. I shut down his pipeline, the biggest pipeline. They were looking at that to
yeah,
fund, and this pathetic president gets in there, and the first thing he did, one of the early things he did, is he shut down. He shut down Keystone XL pipeline, which is our pipeline that would have employed 48,000 people, pipeline workers, shuts it down. That was, a massive job that Obama refused to allow.
yeah,
I allowed it in my first week because it was jobs and it moved oil. And by the way, in a much more environmentally friendly way. It's underground. It's not a truck that catches on fire or a train that catches on fire. But think of it. He shut down the uh, XL pipeline, the Keystone XL pipeline. He
yeah,
shuts that down and he approves the Russian pipeline,
yeah. It doesn't make any
right?
sense. It's like it's inconsistent. Certainly, the but I mean, I think it's just worth emphasizing, to listeners the immense importance of whether the United States president is intimidating or not intimidating, and how much that matters to global security.
Still waiting for them to
Because
talk about
there's
Bitcoin.
some real tough characters out there, and if they don't think the American president is tough, they will do what they want to
I
do,
know every one of
and
them.
it puts the whole
Yeah.
world in danger.
Elon, I know every one
It's
of
a
them,
big
and I know
deal.
them well. I know
Yeah.
Putin. I know President Xi. I know Kim Jong-un of North Korea. I know every one of them. And let me tell you, people will say, oh, this is terrible. He said, I'm not saying anything good or bad. They're at the top of their game. They're tough. They're smart. They're vicious. And they're going to protect their country, whether they love their country. They probably do. It's just a different form of love, but they're going to protect their country. But these are tough people at the top of their game. And
Big
when they see a
leaders.
Kamala or when they see Biden,
That's
Sleepy
true.
Joe,
Like,
they can't even
Yeah.
believe it. They can't believe this happened. All the stuff
they
that you're
laugh. They
seeing
laugh at
now,
the
all the
US.
horror that you look at Israel, they're all waiting for an attack from Iran.
Yeah.
Iran would not be attacking, believe me. When I was there, and I say it with respect because I think we would have been good with Iran. I don't want to do anything bad to Iran, but they knew not to mess around. Iran was broke because I told China, if you buy from Iran oil, it's all about the oil. That's
The
where the
oil.
money is. But if you buy oil from Iran, you're not going to do any business with the United States.
Yep.
And I meant it. And they said, we'll
Yeah,
pass.
yeah.
They didn't buy oil. Other countries, likewise.
Sure.
You want to buy, you're not doing business with the United States. And they were at a point where they had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. They had no money for any of these instruments of terror. And it was amazing. In fact, there were articles when I was leaving, which is hard to believe, actually, especially when you look at what's happened to our country. Our country is so bad right now. It's such a different place. We were respected. Think of it. 4 years ago, we were so respected to a point where when I said don't buy oil, they didn't buy oil, but they had no money,
Yeah.
and Israel would have never been attacked. Zero chance. And again, I said to Vladimir Putin, I said, don't do it. You can't do it, Vladimir. You do it, it's going to be a bad day. You cannot do it. And I told him things that what I do, and he said, no way. And I said, way. And it's the last time we ever had the conversation. He would never have done. I got along well with him. I hope to get along well with him again. Getting along well with them is a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yep.
I got along well with
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un. When I met with President Obama just before entering, it's a sort of a ritual. And I sat down with him and we talked. It was supposed to be for a very short period of time. It turned out to be a long period of time. I said, what's the biggest problem? He said, North Korea. I had that problem worked out very quickly. It was
Yep.
nasty at the beginning with Rocket Man and all the different things.
Yeah.
But
Rocket
all of a sudden,
Man.
I got a call.
Those were some epic tweets, by the way.
Yeah, they
Those
were.
like
They were epic.
absolutely-
Everything. He said that he has a red button on his desk. I said, I have a red button on my desk too, but my red button is much bigger, and my red button works. And then I called him
Yeah.
Little Rocket Man. Little
Yeah.
Rocket Man. Anyway, here's the bottom line. All of a sudden, I got a call from him. And they said they want to meet. They want to meet me. And we met,
Yeah.
as you remember, we met in Singapore. We met also in Vietnam. And I got along with them great. We were
Yeah.
in no danger.
It-
But
yeah.
President Obama,
It's because
Obama
they
thought we were going
respond-
to end up in a
yeah.
war, a nuclear war with him. And let me tell you, he's
Yeah,
got a
it's
lot
not
of
true.
nuclear stuff,
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
He's got plenty of nuclear.
It's-
He can do plenty of damage. So
Yes, I mean it's because people like Kim Jong Un, they respond to strength, not weakness.
well,
Exactly.
he and I got
if
he
you
and I
project
had a good
strength,
relationship.
you're
Remember, I
Yeah.
remember I met him and we walked onto his land. Nobody ever walked onto his land before. I walked onto. I wouldn't say.
Yeah,
Let's bring
that was
up
cool.
Secret Service again. I wouldn't say they were thrilled when I did that. I walked onto his land, and it was an amazing period. But we were not in danger with him because of me. I always
Yeah.
say that we have enemies on the outside and we have enemies on the inside. We have some really bad people in our government and people that are and controlling of the people. I mean, I'd mention names, but I really don't want to give them the credit. But we have some really bad, and I say they're more dangerous than Russia and China. If you have a smart president, a president that gets it, we are not in danger from those countries because they need us and they need our help. I mean, we forced Obama, if you think about it, Obama and Biden and Bush to a certain extent, in all fairness, forced Russia and China together. And if you're a history student, the first thing you learn is you cannot let Russia and China align. But then they also got, if you take a look, Iran, and they have North Korea. That's, they call it the axis of evil. In the old days, you had the axis of evil. Here we
Yep.
have a modern day axis of evil. These are powerful countries, very heavy nuclear, which is the biggest threat.
Yeah.
The biggest threat is not global warming, where the ocean's going to rise one-eighth of an inch over the next 400 years. And you'll have more oceanfront property, right? The biggest threat is not that. The biggest threat is nuclear warming,
That's true.
because we have 5 countries
Well,
now that
yeah.
have significant nuclear power, and we have to not allow anything to happen with stupid people like Biden. Biden did something with Russia. There was no chance of him ever going in. And when I left, and then after I left, they started forming big armies on the border with Ukraine, right? And I looked at that, and I thought he was doing that because Putin's a good negotiator. I thought he was doing that to negotiate. But then Biden started saying such stupid things. For instance, he said that it can be a NATO country. Now, Russia, for as long as there's been NATO, has said we're never going to agree to that. And we go right up front and say that. And we did things and said things through this president with a low IQ, very low IQ. He had a low IQ 30 years ago, by the way, but now he might not even have a IQ at all. There's nothing on the board that goes this low. He said things that were so stupid that war would have been, that war had zero chance of happening if I were there. Zero chance. He was saying everything the opposite. Everything the opposite. And it's so sad because many more people have been killed in Ukraine than you read about. You don't read about how bloody it is and how disaster.
Sure.
Hey, look, just in the 2 armies, you lost 500,000 people. And
Yeah.
Ukraine's having a hard time. Ukraine, I don't know if you saw
Yeah.
the article recently, and it's true. You don't hear the true story, but if you think about it, Russia's gone. Russia defeated Germany with us, and they defeated Napoleon. They've been around a long time. They're a big fighting force,
Yeah. Sure.
and it's
Of course.
very unfair. And Ukraine now doesn't have enough men. They're now using young men and very old men to fight, and we're in a very bad position. And I'm not going to blame exclusively, but I can tell you I could have stopped that, and a smart president could have stopped that. It wouldn't have happened. But we had a man that actually made it more prevalent. It was so bad, the words that he was using, the stupid threats coming from a stupid face that he was using. I said, this guy's going to cause us a war. He's going to cause us. And let me tell you, it can lead to World War III. That can lead to World War III. The Middle East can lead to. We have numerous places that could end up in a World War III right now for no reason whatsoever.
I think you're right. I think people underrate the risk of World War III, and it's just when you're looking at the risk of global
Criminally
nuclear
underrated.
warfare, it's game over for humanity. And
Like, who cares about renewable
something
clean
that
energy
people, I
if
think,
we're all
at
going to die to
the end
nukes?
of the
That's something
Cold
you
War,
got to
people have
prevent.
become complacent about, but they actually have forgotten that there are currently a lot of nuclear missiles that have targeting parameters for the United States from other
100%.
countries.
And one of the things
And
we're going to do is
it's
we're going to build an Iron Dome over us.
That's
Israel has
big.
it. We're going to have the best Iron Dome in the world. We need it, and we're going to make it all in the United States. But we're going to have protection, because it just takes one maniac to start something. We're going to have protection, and we're going to have. Why shouldn't we have an Iron Dome? Israel has
Yeah.
one. Some other places have one that nobody even knows about, frankly. But Israel has it. We're going to have an Iron Dome. But with all of that being said, to me that's so important, the most important. But with all of that being said, the election's coming up, and the people want to hear about the economy and the fact that they
Absolutely,
can't
sure.
buy groceries because they don't have enough money to buy groceries. The inflation has killed them. Food
Yep.
prices are up 50, 60, even 100% in some cases.
Can't even
And
buy a
this
bag of chips anymore.
stupid administration allowed this to happen, and it's a shame. And that's the thing that people most care about, in my opinion. They care about the border a lot. and we discussed the border at great length. It's nice to have a forum like this where I can discuss something.
For the record, I'm
at
going to stop
length.
entering
By
trades
the way, do you
now.
think Biden could do this interview? Do you think that Kamala could do this interview? They would take a pass on
No,
you.
they could not.
Yeah, they would not.
They don't need Elon. They don't need Elon screaming out questions. It's pretty sad when you think that somebody that does this for a living can't answer a question or is afraid to do an interview. And in her case, with a very friendly interview, she's got all friendly interviewers. It's pretty sad.
Yes,
But the
absolutely.
big thing now is
True.
the economy, Elon.
Yeah.
And as much as
Yeah.
I mean, I view nuclear as the single most important thing, but a lot of
Yep.
people don't. A lot of people don't understand that. But it doesn't have to. If I understand it, that's all you need. Because if I was president, you're not going to have that kind of a problem. But the thing that they really is making them angry is what Kamala and Biden have allowed to happen to the economy. It's a disaster with inflation. The inflation, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you make. The inflation is eating you alive. If you're a worker or if you're just a middle income person, you can't afford. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, people were saving a lot of money. Today, they're using
Yeah.
all their money and borrowing money just to live.
Yep.
It's a horrible thing
Right.
that's happening, and we'll end that
Well,
quickly.
I think a lot of a lot of people just don't understand where inflation comes from. Inflation comes from government overspending because the checks never bounce when it's written by the government. So if the government spends far more than it brings in, that increases the money supply, and if the money supply increases faster than the rate of goods and services,
right.
that's inflation. So really, we need to have we need to reduce our government spending, and we need to re-examine. I think we need like a government efficiency commission to say like, hey, where are we spending money that's sensible? Where is it not sensible? And we need to live within our means. We're currently adding, I think, $1 trillion to the deficit roughly
Right.
every 100 days.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the interest
And
payments
spending
on
it
national debt
unwisely.
have now exceed the defense budget. It's on the order of $1 trillion.
It's interest.
And it keeps
I
growing.
rebuilt our military, largely rebuilt our military, did a great job on it, which was so important. We had jets, we had fighters that were, and bombers that were 70 years old. And we did a great job in that. Then by the way, we gave
Pretty sure the military
85
likes
billion
Trump
of it
too,
back
at least
to
psyops.
Afghanistan, if you can believe it. We gave them 85 billion. They're one of the largest sellers
Yeah.
of military equipment in the world. They're selling what we gave them. That was one of the most embarrassing days in the history of our country. But if you think about, let's go back to the economy. We have to bring energy
Yeah.
prices down. Energy started at the price of gasoline. Now your cars don't require too much gasoline, so you're.
It sounds like Trump has a
You do
lisp.
make a great product, I have to say. I have to be honest with you.
Thank
That
you.
doesn't mean everybody should have an electric car, but these are minor details. But your
It's just a
product
bad
is
mic,
incredible.
I guess.
But the
Thank you.
gasoline, Elon, is the cost of energy. Not only gasoline, it's the cost of heating your house and cooling your house. That has
Sure.
to come down. It's gone up 100%, 150, and 200%, and that has to come down. When that comes down, and we're going to
Yeah.
drill, baby, drill. They stopped drilling,
Yeah.
and then they went back to drilling because they went back to the Trump policy. But if they won the day after they get into office, this country will go out of business because they're going to go to an energy policy that's not sustainable. Wind and different things. You're not going to have anything.
Yeah.
And I know you're a big fan of the AI, and I have to say
Yeah.
that AI, and this is shocking to me, but AI requires twice the energy that the country already produces for everything. So you're going to have to build. We're going to have to build a lot of energy if our country will be competitive with China, because that's our primary competitor for this on the AI. You're
Sure.
going to need a lot of
Well, I mean,
electricity. You're going to need tremendous
Yeah.
electricity, like almost double what we produce now for the whole country, if you can believe it.
Sure. Well, just going, back to this, like this basic thing, which that people try to make it sound complicated, but it's not. But inflation is caused by government
Right.
overspending. Would you agree that we need to take a look at government spending
Yes.
and have perhaps like a
Of
government
course.
efficiency commission
Yeah.
that just tries to make the spending sensible and so the
Cut
country
down
looks
on a
like
lot of
change,
expenses.
just like a
The
person does.
waste is incredible, and nobody
It
negotiates
is.
prices. You used to have a lot of people making jets, and you end up with two companies, and they'll probably try and merge at some point. I mean, I went through it like Air Force, just a thing like Air Force One. One of the first documents they asked me to sign, a general said, "Sir, would you please sign this document?" And what is it? Air Force One. That's with Boeing, which is basically two planes, two 747s. And the price was
Yeah.
$5.7 billion for two planes. Now they're
Wow.
highly sophisticated.
That's
They're
insane.
even nicer than your plane, okay? But much more sophisticated. They're very. I won't say what's on it, but they got a lot of stuff on it. Anyway, but it's
Sure.
5.7. I
That's a crazy
It's a
number.
crazy number, but I said, I'm not going to pay 5.7. I'm not going to do it. I said, who made the deal? Obama and his people. I said, well, then I know the deal's no good. I'm not going to do it. And over a course of about 4 weeks, by my saying I'm not going to do it, I got the price reduced by $1.6 billion for the exact same plane, other than we had a nicer paint job, if you want to know the truth. But for the exact same plane, I saved one. And I said to Boeing, man, you guys must make a lot of money if you can reduce the price by that. But now what I do hear is that they're going back to the Biden administration and wanting big cost overruns, because they see these dopey suckers in there, and they'll end up getting some of the money back. But I shaved it by $1.6 billion for the exact same plane. And you can now take that and multiply that out times thousands of other
Exactly.
items. And
Multiply it by
yeah,
a
the
zillion,
numbers are
and yeah, yeah.
astronomical. I agree with you.
Well, I mean, if so, I think it would be great to just have a government efficiency commission that takes a look at these things and just ensures that the taxpayer money, the taxpayers' hard-earned money, is spent in a good way. I'd be happy to help out on such a commission
I'd love
if
it.
it were formed.
Well, you're the greatest cutter. I mean, I look at what you do. You walk in and you just say, "You want to quit?" They go on
Yeah.
strike. I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike, and you say, "That's okay. You're all gone. You're all gone." So every one of you is gone, and you are the greatest. You would be very good.
I
Oh,
wonder what
you
he's
would love it. But
talking
if you
about,
look at Argentina.
Well, I'd be happy
the
to
Yeah,
help
by the way,
company.
out.
congratulations. I
Yeah.
just looked at the number of people that are listening to you and I chat. We'll call it a chat. But
Yeah.
congratulations. This is very good. I mean, it's great. And you're an interesting character. The new head of a place called Argentina, and he's a big,
Malay's awesome.
he's great. And he's a
Malay,
big MAGA fan, that he ran on MAGA,
yeah,
and he took it to an extreme too. He ran on MAGA, and I hear he's doing really a terrific job. It's called Make Argentina Great Again. It worked
yep,
out perfectly. He came in, he bought a lot of hats, he brought everything, but he's doing a big job. He really cut. And I'm hearing
Yeah.
they're starting to do pretty well. Inflation's getting down. They had like
Yes, exactly.
2,000%. They had inflation
crazy inflation.
like not normal inflation. They had the real deal. But we're going to
Yeah.
have that pretty soon. We have, I think we
Yeah.
have the worst inflation we've had in 100 years. They say it's 48 years. I don't believe it. I think we have the worst. They
Yeah.
don't include a lot of the items that should be included, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's just from government overspending and not spending taxpayer money
Yeah,
effectively,
Coming
and
down.
and having just like so many departments, you can't even name them all. And what Malay is doing is he's cutting government spending. He's simplifying things. He's having putting in regulations that make sense. And I and we're Argentina overnight is experiencing a giant improvement
that's
in
right.
prosperity. But it's also a lesson for the United States, which is that um, Argentina used to be one of the most prosperous countries in the world. Um,
That's right.
in the like in the 30s, 40s, and because of bad government policy, it ruined the country. And if you take Venezuela, for example, Venezuela should be incredibly prosperous.
Uh-oh.
They have phenomenal reserves of everything, oil, everything,
Petroleum.
and it should be prosperous. But if the government's wrong, it impoverishes the people. And so I think we should not be complacent in the United States and thinking that and taking our prosperity for granted, because if with bad government policy, we can run the country into the ground. And that's just something people should bear in mind. Don't take prosperity for granted.
Well, think of education. So we're ranked at the bottom of every list of the top 40. We're ranked number 40, number 38. Uh, Norway, Switzerland, Sweden, different countries are ranked good. Actually, China's pretty close to the top. They're a top 6 or 7, but we're ranked at the bottom, almost at the bottom, 38, 39, 40. In other words, horrible. And yet we spend more per pupil than any other country in the world. So we spend more. And what I'm going to do, one of the first acts, and this is where I need an Elon Musk. I need somebody that has a lot of strength and courage and smarts. I want to close up Department of Education, move education back to the states, where
Yeah.
where states like Iowa, where states like Idaho, not every state will do great because states that basically aren't doing good now. You look at Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. He's terrible. He does a terrible job. So he's not going to do great with education. But of the
Yeah.
50, I would bet that 35 would do great, and 15 of
Yeah.
them, or 20 of them will be as good as Norway. Norway is considered great. You can name them. I mean, they're so good. Some of
Yeah.
these countries are so good. But if you go into some of these really well-run states, we have states that don't know what debt is. We have states that have low taxes, no debt, everybody working. They're really well run,
Sure.
and maybe they have certain advantages in terms of location, in terms of the land or the sun, and the water and the whole thing. There are a lot of advantages that some people have. But if you moved education back to the 50, you'll have some that won't do well, but they'll actually be forced to do better because it'll be a pretty bad situation. But,
Yeah.
but if you think
Well,
about it,
yeah.
you'll have some
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
these states. I'll bet you'd have 30, 35 states. It'll be much better. And you know what it'll cost? Less than
Yeah.
half what it is in Washington. And
Yeah.
these people don't care
Well,
about the
yeah.
students in these, faraway states. And it'd
Well,
be unbelievable.
yeah. I think you're making a good point in that if the states have to if each state has to compete against other states, then people will
That's
naturally
right.
move to states where it's better.
Well, like
Um,
California, as we said, it's a badly run state. I could go through. I got so many friends that are in those states, even if they're Democrats. I hate to mention certain states, but Illinois is badly run with Pritzker. He's a real loser. But
yeah.
but some of these places are just badly run. But it's almost going to force them to run better, and they won't do a good at initially. But you're not going to do worse than you're doing right now. And I would say that
Yeah.
the cost, you would cut your cost by 50 or 60%. And you'd have a little
Yeah. Yeah.
monitor. You want to make sure they're teaching English as an example. Give us a
Yeah.
little English, right?
Sure, yeah.
Right?
No, but I mean, to what? Some of these governors are doing so badly. I mean, they got so many people moving out of their state. They should get U-Haul Salesman of the Year award because they're driving so much U-Haul
It's
sales.
actually
It's just
amazing.
people moving out.
Isn't it amazing to you as a businessman that they can even survive? Like Illinois, so many people are leaving, and you wonder, how do they survive? I mean, how do they survive? Uh, I saw where you left California and you moved to Texas. Texas does a great job. But, I
Yeah,
mean, I just wonder, how do these states survive when big businesses, a big oil company just left California, as you know, and they moved to Texas. How do these big states survive when they lose so many businesses and their taxes are already really high? The taxes are among the highest
yeah.
taxes. You almost wonder, how do they continue on? And in many cases, the governors don't do a good job in their crime-ridden places. You wonder, how do they continue to just go on? It's
Well,
not a good
I think there's.
situation.
I think the only thing that's going to force some of these states to change is if they risk bankruptcy and they're not getting bailed out by the federal
Right,
government.
right. Well,
That's
you're
the
gonna
only thing
have
that's going to
that.
get them to change.
You remember the
Yeah,
area in California where they had that, where I guess somebody had sticky fingers and they stole a lot of money, and they went into a form of chapter, and it was very
yeah,
nasty for
yeah.
a period of time. But now it's probably the most popular place in all of California. So at some point, something like that may have to happen. But the problem is, you can't penalize people that loan money to the state when you have incompetent people like a Pritzker. Look, the family didn't want him in the family business, and then he ends up being governor of Illinois. So what is he going to be? Is he going to be a great governor? And you have people. I could name every one of them. I
1
got to
million
know
on
every
Alex
one of them, and
Jones.
some are very good, and some are just horrible.
1.3 million here.
Well, I think that I mean the larger point here, too, as you're saying, like
I'm
a
gonna
lot of
check
people concerned
YouTube.
about the economy, a lot of people concerned about inflation, and inflation is effectively a tax on people that save money,
Yeah.
and for people that are working day to day, it's just a form of taxation. And if we can solve the government spending problem, we'll solve the inflation problem, which means people will have a better standard of living, and
Yeah.
that's a really big
Well, the
deal.
people that got hurt worse are the people that did it the way they were taught to do it all through, their younger life and their young life and their whole life. The people that saved money,
I'd say about
and
another
then they got
million,
no
3
interest
million
on their
total.
money, and inflation destroyed them. And frankly, they were almost better off if they didn't do anything like that. I mean, those people have been absolutely decimated, and we're going to bring those people back and help those people. We've got to get the prices down. When I look at bacon costing 4 or 5 times more than it did a
Yes.
few years
Sure.
ago, when you look at some of the food products in grocery stores, people go, they can't believe it. They used to be able to buy a whole cart, and today, a lot of people just don't have the money. They go in and they
That's
can't buy
true.
anything. They look at
Yeah,
it's sticker
I
shock.
think
They call it
yeah.
sticker shock, right?
I think it really just comes, like I said, I think it just comes down to really, I guess, two things, which is that if you solve government overspending, you solve inflation, which improves living
Right.
standards of the average person, and then if you deregulate, like have sensible regulations, so because a lot of the regulations are nonsensical and cause the cost to be extreme for no reason, but unless you've got effective deregulation. Like Reagan did a great job on deregulation in the 80s, but it's been 40 years since we had
That's right.
anyone really. I mean, during your administration, we made some progress, but I think there's an opportunity to make, I think, radical progress with sensible regulation.
Yeah.
And if
Well,
those
Elon, we
those two things, yeah, those are the big
yeah, we
deals.
set a record. We did more deregulation and more restrictions on all of the different businesses than any other president. Remember, I had the rule for everyone we put in, you have to get rid of 10 or 12. And we did
Yes.
radical cuts on all of that, and a lot of that's being put back by this administration. And we did radical cuts on things that weren't necessary. But we were all set. We had the best economy ever, maybe in the world. And then what happened is COVID came in, and we had to focus on that, and nobody knew what it was. And I always say I got good marks on economy, good marks on military. We knocked out ISIS. We did so many different things. We rebuilt. But, I never got the credit that we really deserved on what we did with COVID. We never got the credit. But if had that not happened, a gift from China, from Wuhan, came in from Wuhan, the Wuhan labs, and I always said it, and it turned out to be right. But
Yeah.
had that not happened, we were set to start reducing debt. We were going to reduce taxes further. I gave the largest tax cuts, and we were going to reduce taxes still further for middle-income
Yeah.
people, not only businesses. But
And
we did
crypto
it for businesses
bros.
because they're the ones that's why we had the great job numbers. But we were set to really start reducing debt. And, we're sitting on the biggest pile of liquid gold anywhere in the world, bigger than Saudi Arabia, bigger than Russia. And we were going to drill, and we were going to make so much money. We were going to supply Europe with oil. I had stopped the Russian pipeline, and we were going to supply them with oil and gas. We were going to make a fortune. And then the COVID came in, and
The COVID.
we really had to divert. Then what happened is when they came in, we kept a lot of businesses alive. If I didn't do what we did, we would have had a 1929 type depression. But the problem is when Biden came in, he got trillions of dollars and just started spending it stupidly. You didn't need it anymore. We got over that bad period where everybody was dying and feeling, it was just not a good period. Interestingly, during his administration, many more people died during his administration of COVID than during my administration, and we really got the brunt of it. But people don't realize more people died during his administration than ours. But it diverted us from doing what I wanted to do. But we had the greatest for almost 3 years. We had the
Yeah.
great, and you know that probably better than anybody. So many of your friends said to me, the best years we've ever had in business were during the Trump years. and also said that African American, Hispanic American were so incredible. They were having the best Asian American women, men, young people without a diploma, young people that graduated from the best colleges, from MIT, from the Wharton School, from all of the great colleges, Harvard. They were doing better, and people without a diploma were doing better, and everybody was happy. And then COVID came, and
Sure.
we had the problem is they spent trillions and trillions of dollars. They wasted. They shouldn't have taken any money, and we wouldn't be having inflation right now, which is killing our country.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and
The
absolutely. And I mean, I should
inflation
probably say
too.
something about like, maybe my views on, climate change
Yeah,
and oil and
Oh,
gas,
there we go.
because I think I'm probably different from what most people would assume. Because my views are actually pretty, I think, moderate in this regard, which is that I don't think we should vilify the oil and gas industry and the people that have worked very hard in those industries to provide the necessary energy to support the economy. And if we were to stop using oil and gas right now, we would all be starving and the economy would collapse.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't think it's right to sort of vilify the oil and gas industry. And I, the world has a certain demand for oil and gas, and it's probably better if the United States provides that than some other
sure.
countries. And it would help with prosperity in the U.S. And at the same time, obviously, my view is like we do over time want to move to a sustainable energy economy, because eventually you do run out of. I mean, you run out of oil and gas. It's not there for. It's not infinite. Um,
Non-renewable.
and there is some risk. I think the risk is not as high as a lot of people say it is with respect to global warming. But I think if you just keep increasing the parts per million in the atmosphere long enough, eventually it actually simply gets uncomfortable to breathe. People don't realize this. If you go past 1,000 parts per million of CO2, you start getting headaches and nausea. And so we're now in the sort of 400 range. We're adding, I think, about roughly 2 parts per million per year. So I mean, it still gives us. So what it means is like we still have quite a bit of time, but so there's not like we don't need to rush, and we don't need to like stop farmers from farming, or you know uh, prevent people from having steaks, or
Right.
basic stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like you can leave the farmers alone.
Right.
Leave the
How
farmers
crazy is
alone.
that? Where
I mean,
you have farmers that are not allowed to farm anymore and have to get rid of their cattle, and the
Crazy.
whole world is
yeah,
a
that's
little
silly.
crazy. But it's largely taken its lead from us. I just say though, I've heard in terms of the fossil fuel, because even to create your electric car and create the electricity needed for the electric car. Fossil fuel is what really creates that at the generating plants. And, so you sort of can't get away from it at this moment. I mean, someday you might be able to. But I do hear we
What
have
was
anywhere
that?
from 100 to 500 years left. Much of it hasn't even been found yet.
Yeah.
But there are tremendous, like Anwar. I got Anwar in Alaska approved. Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. Everybody tried. Nobody could do it. I got it approved. The first thing that Biden did was unimprove to get rid of it. He
Unimprove it.
ended
Yeah.
it. His secretary went in and she ended it. And what a disgrace. That's Anwar. That's bigger, or they think it could be bigger than Saudi Arabia in Alaska. Could be bigger than Saudi Arabia. But they went in and they terminated it. And I'll get it going very quickly, because not only is it big for Alaska, I mean, you talk about economic development, that for the United States, I mean, that is, they say bigger than Saudi Arabia or the same size, and pure,
Yeah.
really good stuff. And, they end it. So I think we have, perhaps hundreds of years left. Nobody really knows. But during that
Yeah.
during that
I mean,
time,
my
something will
estimate.
come around that will be
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and my estimate would be, a little more aggressive than that. But it's not the sort of like we're all going to die in 5 years stuff. That's obviously BS. Um, but I mean, my view is like if you just look at sort of the parts per million that increments every year, you get sort of 2 or 3 parts per million every year of CO2. Uh, I mean, I think some of that it's problematic if it accelerates, if you start going from 2 or
Right.
3 to say 5. And then there may be some situations where you get just a step change increase in the CO2.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we don't want to get too close to 1,000 ppm, because like that's actually makes it uncomfortable to breathe. Like just existing in 1,000 ppm CO2 is uncomfortable. That's like that's considered like an industrial hazard.
Right.
Just so it's that's actually, you start getting headaches and stuff. So it's even without global warming, it's not comfortable to live in. So you don't want to get too close to that. But I mean, I think we've got. I think we want to just move over, and like, and if I don't know, 50 to 100 years from now, we're I don't know, mostly sustainable. I think that'll probably be okay. So it's not like the house is on fire immediately, but I think it is something we need to move towards. And on on balance, it's probably better to move there faster than slower. But like I said, without vilifying the oil and gas industry, and without causing hardship in the short term, I think this can be done. Without people
I
can
think he
still
posted
have
the horse thing.
a stake, and
It's
they
in
can still
walls. There's a meme behind that.
drive gasoline
Sure.
cars, and it's okay. It's like, it's not. I don't think we should vilify people for it, but I think we should just generally lean in the direction of sustainability. And I actually think solar is going to be a majority of Earth's energy generation in the future, and it's certainly trending that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get the solar power, combine that with batteries, so because obviously the sun doesn't shine at night, and then you use that to charge the electric cars, and you have a long-term sustainable solution. And that's what Tesla's trying to move things towards, and I think we've made a lot of progress in that regard. But when you look at our cars, we don't believe that environmentalism, that caring about the environment should mean that you have to suffer. So we make sure that our cars are beautiful, that they drive well, that they're fast, they're sexy. I mean, they're cool. In fact, literally, I mean, the sexy joke, Model S, Model 3, Model X, and Y spells out sexy. It's probably the most
Yeah.
offensive joke out there.
I did
But
notice that, by
I'm
the
just Adam.
way.
I like cheesy humor. So
Model S, Model 3,
and
Model
I'm
X, Model Y.
I'm just
Sexy.
kind of like, let's have an inspiring future.
For his
And
Tesla models.
let's work towards a better future, and we can do so without demonizing
Right.
people.
I'm okay.
You know.
It's very interesting. You use the word global warming, and today they use the word climate change because you have some places that go up, and so they were getting themselves in a little trouble with the word global warming, because not every place is warming. Some places are going the opposite direction. But
That's true.
you know,
People are
I'm
getting
sort of waiting
colder.
for you to come up with solar panels on the roofs of your cars and on the trunks of the cars. And
Yeah.
it just seems like something that at some point you will come up with. I'm sure you'll be the first. But it would seem that a solar panel on the roofs, on flat surfaces, on certain surfaces might be good,
Yeah.
at least in certain areas of the country where you have or the world
Sure.
where you have the sun. But I would think, and I have no idea because that's not my world, but I would think that this would be something that would be interesting. But the one thing that I don't understand is that people talk about global warming or they talk about climate change, but they never talk about nuclear warming. And to me, that's an
Exactly.
immediate problem because you have, as I said, 5 countries where you have major nuclear and probably
That's a
some
bigger
others
threat than
getting there. And
global
that's
warming.
very dangerous. That's where you need a strong American president because you don't want to have this proliferation. But you have 5 countries and getting more. China is much less than us right now, but they're going to catch us sooner than people think. They're
Ethereum.
way lower. Russia and us are number 1, and I mean, we're
Just
sort of
killing me.
tied. And China is far behind, but they're developing at a level that you're not surprised to hear very fast. They'll end up catching up, maybe even
Yeah.
surpassing.
Oh.
But to me, the biggest
Yeah.
problem is not climate change. It's not, and everything's a problem, but it's degrees. To me, the big problem is the nuclear power. The power of nuclear is so
Come on.
great. And when I talk
Yeah.
about
Nuclear power is underrated. It's
I'll
awesome.
prevent World War
Yeah.
III, I will. But the truth
Okay.
is that you have to, because this is no longer army tanks going back and forth and shooting at each other. This is
Yeah.
a level of destruction and power that nobody's ever seen before.
Dude, we saw 99 Ethereum come on.
There's the bad side of nuclear, which is a nuclear war. Very
Oh
bad
my
side.
gosh,
But
and it's dropping
there's
now.
also, I think, nuclear electricity generation is
Absolutely.
underrated.
You're right.
And it's actually, people have this fear of nuclear electricity generation,
Dude,
but it's
117.
actually
Oh, we're
one of
still
the safest
far.
forms of electricity
Anyways.
generation. It's just a huge misunderstanding. And if you look at the injuries and deaths, caused by, say, I mean, I'm not going to try to pick on coal mining, but just any kind of mining
Right.
operation. And there's a certain number of injuries and deaths per year. And you compare that to nuclear. Nuclear is actually way better. So it's underrated as an electricity source, and I think it's something that's worth reconsidering. But there's so much regulation that people can't get it done.
Oh, we got it.
So that
Maybe they'll have
sort
to
of
change the
have a,
name.
Right?
The name is just, it's a rough name. There are some areas like
yeah, it's a rough
like when
name.
you see what happened in
Good bad
right.
branding.
Come on, we
We'll
absolutely
rebrand
got
it. We'll have to
this.
give it a good name. We'll name it after you or something. You know,
It's glitched, probably.
no, it has hey, it has a branding problem. You know, when you see what happened
It does have a branding problem.
when you see what happened in Japan, where they say you won't be able to go on the land for about 3,000 years. Did you ever see that? And in Russia, where they
Okay,
had the
good.
problem, where they, there's a lot of bad things happened, and they have a problem. And they say that in 2,000 years, people will start to occupy the land again. You realize it's pretty bad,
No, that's not true.
but you're
Well,
right
no,
about it. It's amazing.
it's actually not that bad. So like after Fukushima happened in Japan, like people were asking me in California, are we worried about like a nuclear cloud coming from Japan? I'm like, no, that's crazy.
Did I say
It's
Fukushima?
not even dangerous in Fukushima. I actually flew
What,
there
what is...
and ate locally grown vegetables on TV to prove it.
Oh, it's a
And
nuclear
and I
accident.
donated
Okay.
a solar water treatment. Yeah,
I
it's
thought
a
it was
solar
talking
powered
about Nagasaki
system for a
bombs.
water treatment plant. And
Yeah, but you haven't
because the
been
danger
feeling
is
so
just
well lately, and I'm worried about it.
no, but I mean
I'm
it's just
only kidding.
it's
I'm only
fine,
kidding.
It's like Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed, but now they're
Yeah.
like full cities again. So
Right.
it's
Well, that's
Yeah.
great.
not
That's
something that
That's
um
great.
so it's not as scary as people think, basically. But
Yeah.
um let's see. I mean, are there some other topics we should touch on?
Yes, there are.
Lawfare. I think
Well,
we need to be concerned about.
what they've done to
Um,
this country.
obviously,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we just won the big
I mean,
case in Florida. This was a Biden administration did something that's never been done in this country, and that's go after their political opponent, me, with this nonsense and just nonsense. And the big case in Florida we won,
Crazy.
but they always pick a judge and a jury, and they use local DAs, they use the local attorney generals, like Fani, spelled
yeah,
Fani, Fani, and it's
yeah,
all a big hoax, and it's all run from there. Like in Manhattan, the one of the top people from the Justice Department went in, ran Manhattan, ran the state. The Letitia James deal was run by a person from the Department of Justice, Biden. They've never done this before,
sure,
and they set up a very bad precedent. It's called lawfare, warfare.
yeah,
It's a terrible thing, and never happened in
Lawfare.
our country. It does happen in banana republics and third world countries, but it's never
yeah,
happened. And the incredible thing is it actually drove my numbers up because people see, fortunately I have a platform like you, or, in all fairness, like a conversation like this, where I can talk about it and people understand. I mean, you fight for election integrity and you end up getting indicted because you're fighting for election integrity. And when the day comes that you can't fight for election integrity, you don't have a country anymore. So what
yeah,
happens is they went after their political opponent, me. Now Biden's, close to vegetable stage, in my opinion. Okay, I looked at him today on the beach, and I said, why would anybody allow him? The guy could barely walk. Why would anybody allow him? Does
yeah,
he have a political advisor that thinks this looks good? He thinks this looks good because it looks so bad,
Yep.
and
There's no
it's
way.
ridiculous. I mean, and he's been doing
right,
that
right,
for a long time. He can't lift the chair. The chair weighs about 3 ounces. It's meant for children and old people to lift, and
Yo,
he
V2,
can't
you
lift
go
it.
to sleep.
The whole
Isn't
thing
it
is
Well,
crazy.
he's
3
clearly,
a.m. in
I mean,
Europe
he's
or
clearly
something?
like we just don't have a president right
You
now.
don't
That's
have a
just obviously the
president, and
case.
she's going to be worse than him
Um,
because she is a San Francisco liberal who destroyed San Francisco, and then as Attorney General, she destroyed California. You talk about location, and we're talking about the sun and the water and all. There's nothing better than California. She has destroyed that. She was the original DA. She was the original in San Francisco. She was the original attorney general in California. What she has done to
4
California
a.m.
is,
My bad.
well, you know better than I do. You just left California for a lot of those reasons. And what she's done with crime, with cashless bail, where you kill somebody. I mean, we have states now you kill somebody and they let you out right away. I mean, you don't have to even put up, and then they never find the people unless they kill again, and then they let them out again. Our
Yeah.
country is becoming a very dangerous place. And she is a radical left San Francisco liberal. And now she's
Very,
trying to
very
protect-
leftist.
Now she's looking like she wants to be more Trump than Trump, if that's possible. I don't think it's possible, but she wants to be more Trump than
Well,
Trump.
yeah.
I want a wall.
I think that's
You know, she
yeah.
wants to release all the
Yeah.
prisoners that are in detention, and some of these guys are really bad.
They're
Right.
talking
That
about
just
like
came out
the
today.
left.
She
Yeah.
doesn't want to build the wall, even though the walls work. Walls and wheels. You know, in your business, everything you do is obsolete. Almost, well, not the tunnels, but everything is obsolete. Even your rocket ships, they're like a month later, they're obsolete. You find a better way to. The only thing that's not obsolete is a wall and a wheel. And the wall, you know, I built hundreds of miles of wall, and that's why we had such good numbers. I was going to add 200
Yeah.
miles. We bought it. We could have flipped it up in 3 weeks, and they sold it for 5 cents on the dollar. That meant, I said, wow, that means that they actually do want to have open borders. She
Yeah.
wants to have open borders.
Completely got rid
Now
of the
she's
wall.
going like she's
Waste
tough
of
on the
money.
border. It's such a lie.
Yeah. This is simply not
Yeah.
true. This is simply
No,
not
and
true.
everybody
Yeah,
knows
it's
it's
simply
not
not
true.
true.
It's a disgrace that she
Yeah.
can say it.
No, I mean, obviously, what's happening?
Oh, it's more than 1 million views. This is 1 million on Alex Jones. We have 1.2 million on the actual space. And then I'm estimating about 1 million more on
like far left.
Worse than Bernie
YouTube.
Sanders.
Although
She's
John's telling me it's about
considered
300
more
million, but I
liberal
don't believe
than
that.
Bernie Sanders.
No, like he
She's
said
a
30 million, I
radical
think.
left lunatic. And if
But that's
she's
not
gonna
going to
be our
happen. Pretty
president,
sure it's just 3 million.
very quickly, you're not going to have a country anymore. And she'll go back to all
Yeah.
of the things that she believes in. She believes in defunding the police. She believes in no fracking,
Yep.
zero. You don't. Now all of a
Yeah,
sudden
yeah,
she's
true.
saying, no, I will. I really want to see fracking. If they got in,
She's
the
very
day
contradictory
they
on
got in,
herself.
she'll end
Kamala
fracking.
Harris.
And by the way, if people didn't think that, the lunatics that really believe in that, they won't vote for her. You know, like the Palestinians and Israel. She is so anti-Israel, and she's bad for both. Biden
Yep.
actually did something that was impossible. Both sides hate him. You know, both sides. That was a hard
Yeah.
thing to do. Unification.
Yeah, no. I mean, Netanyahu came to give a talk to a joint Senate and House
He did.
sitting, and I was there, and Kamala stood him up. You know, what does that say?
I think it's highly
That's
disrespectful. And I
Mhm.
say, if you're a Jewish person or if you believe in Israel, if you're a person that, you know, is a very pro-Israel, if you vote for her, it's worse than Biden. And Biden was bad. But if you vote for her, you ought to have your head examined. And you see tonight, I mean, as we're doing this, I'm seeing reports coming that they expect an attack tonight or tomorrow
Yep.
from hundreds and maybe thousands of rockets. You know, their Iron Dome, as they call it, as we all call it, but their shield that they build, that can be swamped. We'll use the term that's
Yeah.
appropriate, swamped. But they
Yeah.
swamp it by shooting enough missiles. You know this better than anybody. By shooting enough missiles,
Sure.
they can't defend themselves. You know, they just obliterate the whole
Yeah.
place. And that's what some people think they're looking to do. And we have no leadership. There's no respect for the United States of America with these people. And I'm telling you,
Yeah.
she'll be worse than him because she's a believer
Yeah, no,
in
I
being
think you're right.
radical left, and he wasn't.
I'm looking here as well. They're saying a lot of people are saying no war with Iran. They don't want no more immigration, no war with Iran. President Trump. That's what's currently trending on Twitter.
And say, is that a track record you agree with? And I think if you're an independent moderate, you definitely would not agree with it because it is her behavior has been far left. And we're seeing just an overnight propaganda attempt to rewrite history and make it sound like Kamala's moderate when she, in fact, is not moderate.
Well, her
so I
her
think
running
that-
mate approved, signed into legislation, tampons in boys' bathrooms.
That's
okay?
insane. Why would you
Now,
do
that's
that?
all
That's
I have
weird.
to hear. Tampons
Yeah.
in boys' bathrooms, and that means she believes
Yeah.
in that too. I mean,
Yep.
Yeah, that's
She
not
picked this
okay.
guy
Terrible
because
VP
he was
pick,
the
by the way.
closest to her. A lot of people thought she'd pick sort of the opposite, but she picked an anti-Israel radical left person.
Just
But
completely
she
to
is
the extreme
far
left.
worse, they say, than Bernie Sanders. If we have her as a president, if we have a Democrat at this moment as the president, I don't think our country can survive.
Even Bernie
I
Sanders
think
said
I
that.
think
That's
it's a
next.
massive. I think we're
That's
in
crazy.
massive trouble, frankly, with the Kamala administration, and that's my honest opinion. Um, and uh, and I think really it's essential that you win for the good of the country for this election. And I mean I'm just stating my opinion. Now you know you may have seen this, but I got a letter from the EU Commission, like saying,
Yeah,
to not have disinformation on the during this discussion that we're having, and there's a lot of attempts to do censorship and to
so
force
much
censorship
censorship.
even on Americans from other countries. And
Can I find?
um, what do you think about that?
Well, I know the European Union very well. They take great advantage of the United States
It's
in
this
trade, as
thing.
you know. We, through a different forum, NATO, we protect them. And yet, if you build a car in the United States, you can't sell it in Europe. You just can't sell it. It's impossible. The same thing with our farmers. Our farmers find it very difficult to do business. You know, we have a deficit with them of $250 billion, which people don't know. It sounds so nice, the European Union, but let me tell you, they're not as tough as China, but they're bad. And I let them know it, and that's probably why they notified you. No, they don't treat our country well. We defend them, you know, with Ukraine. So we're in for 250 billion, and they're in for about 71 billion, and they have the same size. It's if you add up the European nations that in terms of an economy, it's about the same size. When you say as us,
There's
and
Trump.
they're in,
Yeah,
and they're in much greater risk. They they're right there. We have an ocean separating us from, in this case, the enemy would be Russia. Used to be for the
yeah,
Soviet Union, but let's assume they're close enough. And what happens is uh, they're in for 70 something million. I think even less than that, billion, and we're in for about 250 billion, and it could be a lot higher than that. And I say, why aren't you going to equalize? Why aren't they paying what we're paying? And they're in much more, it's much more important for them because of the fact that, they're right near there. I mean, they're all sort of in that location. We're not. But
yeah,
they should, and I did it with NATO. There were only 7 countries that were paid up in NATO out of 28 at the time. And the United States
yeah,
was subsidizing.
yeah,
The United States was subsidizing NATO, tremendously subsidizing NATO. And I went
yeah,
in and I said, you
yeah.
got to pay up. If you don't pay up, we're not going to defend you any longer.
That's
I took a lot of
good.
heat, but you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in, and
Yeah, I think a lot of the public isn't aware of the fact that the United States pays a disproportionate share of the NATO expenses,
and then we get
even though
taken
Yep.
advantage of on trade. So
Yep.
think
yeah,
about it.
well, I mean, the point of NATO is defending Europe, and it's it's like, then okay, well, why is the United States paying disproportionately more to defend Europe than Europe? That doesn't make sense. That's unfair,
That's also
and
true.
that is an appropriate thing to address.
Well,
Um,
when you talk about
so
cost cutting and savings and everything else, I mean, honestly, look, there's nobody that feels worse about the Ukraine situation than I do because I know it would have never happened. I know Zelensky. He was very honorable to me because when they went with the Russia hoax and they said I had a phone call with him, he said it was a perfect phone call. It was a great phone call. He could have grandstanded and, said, oh, he was very threatening. He said, no, it was a very nice phone call. I called him up to congratulate him on his win, and you end up getting impeached because these people are
Ooh.
yeah, yeah,
lunatics.
Okay, we
I was
lost
talking
on
about the difference
Link.
from the people
Whoops.
within and the enemies on the
But our
outside.
shorters are winning.
In many cases, the people from within are more dangerous for our country than the Russias and the Chinas. If you have a smart president, you're not going to have a problem with them. You're going to do things.
yeah,
Now, they've taken advantage
yeah,
of us
absolutely.
incredibly, but you're going to do things with the right person.
Yeah, well, I think it's obvious that you're a believer and an advocate of free speech, because during your first term as president, you were attacked relentlessly every day, often very unfairly with with false attacks, and you didn't try to shut down the media, you didn't try to inhibit their freedom of speech, and I think
Like
that says a lot.
114
Well, the
on
good thing is
knots.
that you and I
We're almost
have,
there.
and some people, very few,
Oh,
we
that's
can
a
get
good
the
dip.
word out. Although sometimes it's hard because they don't want to print it, like we're having a great conversation right now. Kamala wouldn't have this conversation. She can't because she's not
No.
smart. She's not a smart person, by the
That's
way.
true.
She
She's
can't have
definitely
this
avoiding these
conversation.
kinds of
And Biden, we don't
interviews.
even have to talk about it. I mean, he couldn't have this conversation.
Biden is
He
gone.
would have given up on the first half of a question. He would have walked out. He would have said, "Where am I? Where am I going?" So anyway, but
Yeah.
he wouldn't
Absolutely
have.
It's
incapable.
true.
Not a lot of people would have this conversation, but we cover a lot of territory. But the beauty is that we can have a conversation, and
Yes, you
I'm
can actually
able
have a
to get it out
conversation.
because I get treated unfairly
This
by
is a
the
really
press.
big point. You can actually
Oh,
have a
that's a take profit.
conversation
Heck
with
yeah.
you,
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
and you can't have a conversation with Biden or Kamala. It's like not.
That cancels
It's not
out. This one's
possible.
probably
Yes.
going to be victorious.
So this is like talking to an NPC.
No.
So it's just
Well,
impossible.
but think of it. We need a man or person who's unbelievably sharp in order to stop all the nuclear danger and all the dangers that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And I got along with all these. I got along with Kim Jong Un. We had dinner. We had
literally.
everything, and he really liked me, and I got along with him really well. By the way, he's the absolute boss over there. A lot of people said, "Oh, do you think he really?"
That's for
Let me
sure.
tell you, I saw things that you don't want to know about.
Like, I never
He's the
seen
boss.
Biden or Kamala
But
shake
we had
hands
a
with
good
these big
relationship.
leaders
And
as much as Trump
he doesn't
has.
like Biden. He considers him a stupid man. He said he's a stupid man. Well, at least he speaks his mind. But in this country, you're not sort of allowed to say it. But I guess you are. You should be allowed to say it if
Yeah.
it's true. But we need smart people, and we need people that have an ability to lead. And she doesn't have that ability. Can you imagine? Now
Yeah.
Chairman.
Nobody
Very
voted for
well.
her
Can
in
you
any
imagine
way.
her and him negotiating, or
No, it's
even
silly. It would be
standing
silly.
together? It is, the whole concept
Yeah.
is ridiculous. She
Yeah,
is
no.
terrible. She's terrible. But she's getting a free ride. I
It
saw a
would.
picture of
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
on Time Magazine today. She looks like the most beautiful actress ever to live.
Uh-huh.
It was a drawing, and
Yeah, Trump's definitely winning
she looks very
this.
much like our great first lady, Melania. Didn't look.
Yeah.
She didn't look like Camilla. That's right. But of course, she's a beautiful woman. So we'll leave it at that, right?
Oh, I think they're showing it here.
Yeah.
Oh, no, never mind.
Maybe it's like
I want to find it.
part of what people in America want
Time
to. People in America want to feel
magazine. It'll probably show up
excited and
here.
inspired about the future. They want to feel like the
Yeah,
future is
this.
gonna be better than
Like,
the
come on,
past,
bro.
and that America's going to do things that are greater than we've done in the past.
Why not about
Reach
Trump?
new
Oh,
heights
this is also a
that make you
banker.
proud to be an American.
This one
and,
completely
and
destroying
excited
Kamala.
about the future.
They want the
and I
American
think
dream
this.
back. They want the American dream back. More important than anything else. It's like you don't have that today because the people, they've been just sucked. They see incompetent people running our. The Biden thing is very interesting. People just found him to be incompetent, and when I debated him, I was like, "Is this for real?" It was.
Yeah, it was just absurd. But I think there are like some grand projects that we could do. I mean, I think like we
I don't know. That's
could
just some
build
edit
base
from
on
Alex
Mars,
Jones
and
just
American
comparing her to
astronauts
a
to
Disney
Mars.
witch.
Right.
We could build high-speed
Yep.
connections that are more advanced than anything else in the world between our cities, so people have fast transport.
Halfway there.
It's possible to solve traffic with tunnels.
That's right.
We already made great progress in Vegas doing that, and and just do things that are exciting and inspiring and make the future feel like it's better than the past.
Well, I saw what you
Like,
did in Vegas, and I'll tell you, it was amazing. I got to see. I took a big glimpse at it, and it's incredible. It's incredible, and you could do that all over. You could do that all over. It's deep.
yeah,
You
and
don't
that's,
even need much structure. Assuming you're in the right areas.
no, it's straightforward.
It's amazing.
So I think we could do some things that like China's got incredible high speed rail between its cities, but I think it's actually possible with tunnels if with deregulation with an ability to actually where it's like legal to actually do the tunnels. Then you could have high-speed tunnels that are actually better than anything else in the world for high-speed transport between cities. And that would be something that, Americans can say, wow, okay, we've got something that's cooler than anyone else in the
Yeah.
world. That's the kind of thing that makes you proud to be an
And
American.
much safer than surface trains, where there is a danger there. With people, with crazy
Yeah.
people, it's much safer, much better. And it's sad because I've seen some of the greatest trains. I find it
Ooh, my
fascinating,
stop loss to
and I've
positive
seen the
territory. I'm
systems
not
and
trying
how
to
they work,
lose.
and the bullet trains they call them, I guess. And
Yeah.
they go unbelievably fast, unbelievably comfortable, with no problems. And we don't have anything like that in this country, not even close. And
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense that we don't. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and
That's true.
I think also
We're
like
behind on that.
I'm kind of hopping on the excess regulation, but I think something that um, that I think people can generally understand is that what happens with laws and regulations is that there's more and more of them every year, and unless there's a process to clean them up, eventually everything becomes
You're right.
illegal, and that actually it slows down the development of new technologies. I mean, if you take the sort of like I think there's room for some reform at the FDA for
Yeah.
improving the speed with which we approve drugs that could help save lives and improve people's
Yeah.
lives. And
I worked very hard
and
on that.
you know
We got that
yeah.
down to the lowest number ever, and we got therapeutics approved in the FDA that people can't even believe the speed. But I took them on. I don't think they like me too much, but I got things approved in the FDA at numbers that they wouldn't believe. And it's a very bureaucratic group. Actually, it's a fine group of people in many cases. I got to know a lot of them, but I was pushing them really hard for Regeneron, for so many different things that were really pretty amazing. But the FDA takes too long. It's 12 years to get a product approved. I got it down to 4, and I
Yeah.
got some things done very quickly. But it's really something that is going to have to be worked on because it takes too long. Just takes too long.
Yeah, it just takes too long, and it's you end up in the same with the approval, but it's just it takes years instead of something that I think could potentially take
Yeah.
months, that improves people's lives. I
Yeah.
think but I just wanted to sort of hop on this point that like there has to be an active process for reducing rules and regulations, because otherwise they just keep building up every year, and
Yep.
you get like hardening of the arteries, and eventually everything's illegal or takes forever, and then we just ossify as a society. We can't make any
Yeah.
progress,
Nice, my
and
internet is
that's a
bad.
really big
Well,
deal.
Elon, just
So
getting back to the FDA for 1 second, I got something done called Right to Try. This is where you can go in, and if you're terminally ill, you can use a space age, medicine or whatever it may be. We have the best doctors, the best labs in the world. We really do.
Hmm.
And but people would go to other countries because you couldn't use the product, even if they thought it worked, because it's going through the FDA. I got it approved
yeah,
where you can
yeah,
you basically you look, nobody wanted, the doctors didn't want it because of the liability, the country didn't want it, our country, because they didn't want to get sued. These are people terminally ill. The insurance companies didn't want it, and the pharmaceutical companies, nobody wanted it. I got everybody into a room, and we came up with an agreement that you won't get sued. And also, they didn't want it on their record. If somebody's terminally ill and they die after taking a drug, they didn't want that on their record. So we set a separate list. If somebody was, so it wouldn't count as a negative.
yeah,
Okay. And as you know, we got it
yeah,
done. We have saved Right to Try. They've been trying to get this done for 58
yeah,
years. And it sounds simple, but it wasn't, because the insurance companies, nobody wanted it, but we got it done.
sure,
You sign a document that you're not going to sue the insurance companies, the country, you're not going to sue anybody. And we got it done. And we're saving tens of thousands of lives. Right to Try. Hopefully you never need it. But if you
yeah,
do, you don't have to travel to Asia. People,
right,
if they
Okay,
had
what are
money,
they
they go
saying?
to
Right
Asia.
to try?
If they don't have money, they go home and die. That's what happened. They'd go home and die.
yeah.
This.
Well, I mean, and actually, to give Europe some props here, it's like if a drug is approved in Europe, which has a crazy amount of regulations, it should obviously be approved in the U.S.
Yeah.
I mean, they got more regulations than we do.
Interesting.
So why would a drug be approved in Europe and not in the U.S.? That's crazy.
Well, we did it. We did
Um,
something that really, they've been trying to do it for 50 years, and they just couldn't get it done. And I got it done. and it's really something. But you're right. Some people go to Europe because a drug isn't approved here, but it's approved in Europe, and it's a drug
Yeah,
that, generally speaking, would
Yeah,
work. It's pretty crazy. You're
absolutely.
right.
I heard
And
of that.
I think so, as long as people are properly informed of the pros and cons and like these are the risks, these are this is the risk, and like you make your own decision.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, I think just,
So
in sort of closing up, and by the way, I'm looking at the numbers. You got a lot
Closing
of
up.
people listening. I hope you don't get
yeah,
nervous because you got a lot of people listening to you right now, like 60 million or something.
What?
What is that number? It's crazy. It's amazing how you can see that right away.
Where?
What is the number? Wow.
Where's 60 million? Well, there's 34 million views on the post.
well,
Wow.
I think in
Wow,
terms of people
that's bigger than you said. You said 25 and you're much more than double that number, 25 million. I think you're going to be 60 or 70. And I guess over a period of time,
70
hey,
million
I
views.
congratulate you. Do I get paid for this or not?
Yeah, pay him. Pay up.
well, I think actually in terms of the number of people that will hear this conversation over the next few days to
Right.
weeks, it's going to be hundreds
That's
of
what they
millions.
say. Yeah,
Yep,
that's good.
yep.
Well, look, it's an
Yeah.
honor. Yeah, I just asked this, are you better off now or were you better off when I was president? Nobody's better off now. People, we put out polls on that.
When
And
Trump was
nobody's better off
president.
now. Inflation has killed it. And they also feel very unsafe. You look at what's going on with a lot of different things. You look at the riots we had at the
Yeah.
colleges over, I mean, it's ridiculous, but
Right.
all of the riots, they just feel unsafe. And now they really feel unsafe because you have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant
What
crime.
is
Maybe you'll call
this?
it Kamala migrant crime. But
Elon Musk went back on
one
Joe
of the
Rogan to
things I
smoke
was trying to,
again.
try to get to the ground truth by just asking people.
I have not
And,
seen
my,
that.
my mom lives in New York, and I was like, Mom, have any of your friends, been attacked or assaulted? And she said, yeah, three of her friends in three separate
crazy.
incidents were assaulted just in recent months, just walking around the streets of New York. And I said, well, what happened to the people that assaulted them? Oh, nothing. They got away. Like, and they just know
They
that
always get away.
nothing's gonna, and they don't even and they don't even bother reporting it because there's not they know that they're not going to people are not going to get prosecuted. They just let violent criminals out in New York
The only
with
one that
zero
gets
bail.
prosecuted is Donald Trump. They prosecute Trump.
Yeah, I mean it's just obviously messed up
Oh, it's terrible.
if violent criminals are being getting off scot
Yep.
free, and meanwhile the New York
Oh, we're going
spending
break
massive
even.
resources prosecuting you, and it's like what's
Unless.
this,
No, yeah, we're going
and
break even. All right, we closed.
sort of sensible public looks at this and says, what the heck's going
Oh
on?
well.
This is obviously abuse of the legal system. The legal system is supposed to be protecting the public
right.
from
Still
violent
100 profit
criminals,
today. 100
and
profit.
it should be obviously allowing the public to make their own decision about who should be president, as opposed to some legal case.
Once they start this precedent, because this can go on with the next one. I mean, this is a very bad precedent what they're doing in terms of going after their political opponent, and that's all it is. It's going after their political opponent, and
Yeah.
and then you get a judge who's a strong Democrat, and I'm being nice when I say that. In many cases, crooked as hell. But you get a judge and you go into an area where a Republican gets 3 or 4% of the vote, and you'll have a jury pool
Yeah.
with people that hate Republicans or hate. It could
Sure.
also be the other way though,
Of course.
because it could start the other way in areas where they hate Democrats,
Exactly.
and you get into a
Yep.
Pandora's box. It's a very dangerous thing for this country, and a very dangerous thing even for the state. New York City is
Yep,
losing. New York
absolutely.
City and state lose a lot of business over what they did to me, because these people say we don't want that to happen to us. That's no justice system. You have an